The moment the ocean genesis system awakened, every person on Earth received a vessel. Some people opened their eyes on steel destroyers, armed with missile batteries. Others appeared on luxury yachts with solar panels, water purifiers, and enough preserved food to survive for months. Military officers received patrol ships. Billionaires received floating mansions. Professional sailors received cargo vessels large enough to carry entire neighborhoods. I received a wooden plank, not a raft, not a rowboat. A plank. It was barely wider than my shoulders, warped down the middle, and covered in splinters sharp enough to cut through my soaked shirt. I lay across it with half my body submerged in black water while waves rolled over my face. Above me, a glowing line of blue text hovered in the storm. Vessel assignment complete. Durability, 12. Storage capacity, 0. Maximum crew, 1. Warning. Vessel will collapse in approximately 40 minutes. Thunder shook the sky. Saltwater burned my eyes. All ships appeared beneath columns of white light. A red speedboat materialized 200 yards away. A young man in a designer jacket landed behind its wheel and immediately started laughing. Farther north, a fishing trawler emerged with full nets, diesel tanks, and a working radar mast. To the east, something enormous rose from the sea like a city being born. It was a white cruise liner with balconies stacked 20 floors high. The global channel exploded in front of my face. I got a naval frigate. My yacht has 3 bedrooms. Does anyone know how to operate a nuclear submarine? I have 10,000 liters of fresh water. Looking for strong crew members. Food for sale. Women get discounted rates. Then someone posted a screenshot of my vessel. The image showed me clinging to the plank like a drowned rat. The sender's name was Marcus Vale. I knew him. Everyone did. Before the world changed, Marcus had been a social media celebrity who sold fake survival courses to desperate people. He had millions of followers, a perfect smile, and the moral structure of a shark. Now he stood on the deck of a sleek black catamaran equipped with twin engines, radar, solar sails, and a weapon mount on the bow. His message appeared beneath my picture. Some men are born to command the ocean. Some are born to become fish food. Thousands of laughing reactions followed. I stared at the message while another wave broke over my head. My fingers had gone numb. The plank groaned under my chest. I should have panicked. Instead, I looked at the only object I still possessed. A rusty pocket knife hung from a cord around my neck. It had belonged to my father. He had spent 30 years repairing boats in a small shipyard outside Baltimore. He taught me how to read currents before I learned algebra. He taught me how to seal a hull, splice rope, balance weight, judge timber, and hear structural weakness through the sound of a hammer strike. He died with debt collectors standing outside his hospital room. The shipyard was sold. Marcus Vale bought the land 6 months later and turned it into a private marina. He had smiled for cameras while demolishing the workshop where my father built his first boat. That smile was now floating in front of me. Survival phase begins, the system announced. First calamity, night tide. Time remaining 37 minutes, the sea changed. The water beneath my legs became colder. Something brushed against my ankle. I pulled myself higher onto the plank and nearly rolled off the other side. The global channel filled with confused questions. What is the night tide? Why did the temperature drop? Something hit my hull. My radar shows movement everywhere. A scream cut across the local voice channel. It lasted 3 seconds. Then silence. A new notification appeared. Survivor count reduced by 1. The laughing reactions beneath Marcus's post stopped. I looked at the plank. Rotten cedar 2 arm lengths long. One end had once been fastened to something larger. 3 bent iron nails remained buried in the wood. Most people saw garbage. My father would have seen materials. I pulled the pocket knife free and started working. The first nail came out after 4 minutes. The second tore my thumbnail open. The third snapped at the head, but the remaining metal was long enough to use as a hook. I cut a strip from my shirt and wrapped it around the unbroken nail. Then I tied the bent nail to the end of the strip and lowered it into the water. There were fragments drifting nearby. Plastic bottles, rope, foam insulation, splintered crates, debris from vessels that had spawned badly or already collided in the waves. My first cast missed. My second caught nothing. My third hooked a length of orange rope. I pulled it in hand over hand. The salvage acquired. Item, synthetic rope. Quality, poor. Would you like to bind this material to your vessel? I froze. A second line appeared, detected. Talent name, Infinite Reconstruction. Description, any object physically attached to your vessel may be analyzed, repaired, merged, or evolved. Growth limit, unknown. The cold disappeared from my mind. My grip tightened around the rope. Bind it. The rope dissolved into blue light and sank into the plank. Wood fibers shifted beneath my chest. The warped center straightened slightly. Vessel durability increased by 6. New function unlocked. Material storage. Current storage capacity 1 unit. A laugh escaped my throat. It sounded strange in the storm. Marcus Vale had received a modern catamaran. Someone else had received a submarine. I had received something better. I had received a vessel with no final form. I cast the bent nail again. For the next 20 minutes, I dragged everything within reach toward me. A cracked fuel container became stored polymer. A strip of aluminum sheeting became stored metal. 3 plastic bottles became stored polymer. A broken oar became stored wood. A tangled fishing line became fiber. Each piece dissolved into the plank. Each piece changed it. The wood widened beneath me. The edges curled upward. A shallow hull formed around my body. The system updated faster and faster. Vessel grade upgraded. Broken debris evolved into crude float. Crewimprovised raft evolved into improvised raft. Improvised raft evolved into basic survival skiff. By the time the night tide arrived, I was no longer lying wooden skiff, with raised sides, a pointed bow, and enough space to keep my legs out of the water. It was ugly. The planks did not match. The rope joints were uneven. But it floated, and it belonged to me. The sun vanished without setting. One moment the horizon was gray. The next darkness covered the ocean like a lid. Every wave began to glow with pale green light. Shapes moved beneath the surface. Hundreds of them. The system issued another warning. Night predators are now active. Light attracts hunters. Noise attracts hunters. Blood attracts hunters. I looked at my torn thumbnail. A thin red trail had run down my wrist. Something struck the bottom of the skiff. The impact lifted me several inches into the air. Another strike came from the left. Wood cracked. Vessel durability reduced by 9. A dark fin cut through the glowing water. It circled once. Then a creature rose beside me. Its head looked like a shark's, but its mouth split open vertically. 4 pale eyes blinked along the sides of its skull. Its skin was covered with translucent scales, and its teeth were thin as sewing needles. The creature rammed the hull. My skiff tilted. I stabbed downward with the rusty knife. The blade scraped across scales and did nothing. The creature twisted. Its tail hit the side hard enough to throw me onto my back. Vessel durability reduced by 11. Structural failure imminent. The global channel had become chaos. People screamed for help. Engines roared. Gunfire cracked across the darkness. Modern ships raced through the water with every light blazing, drawing entire swarms behind them. The first speedboat I had seen shot past less than 100 yards away. The man in the designer jacket was no longer laughing. 3 creatures clung to his stern. Another dropped from the bow after biting through a cable. His engine sputtered. The boat slowed. The water around him erupted. His screams ended beneath the sound of tearing fiberglass. The system spoke. Survivor count reduced by 23. The creature beside my skiff prepared to charge again. I stopped looking at its teeth. I studied its movement. Every time it attacked, its 4 eyes narrowed just before impact. Every time it turned, its left fin dipped lower than the right. Injured, unbalanced, predictable. I wrapped the orange rope around my forearm and tied the bent nail to the broken half nail, forming a crude double hook. Then I looped the other end around the center beam of the skiff. The predator charged. I waited 20 feet. 10-5. At the last moment, I threw the hook into its open mouth and rolled to the opposite side. The creature struck the hull. Wood exploded, but the hooks caught between its teeth. The rope snapped tight. Its own momentum twisted its injured fin against the skiff. The creature thrashed. The boat spun in circles. Water poured over the side. My shoulder felt as if it were being ripped from the socket. I pulled anyway, not because I was stronger, because I understood leverage. I wrapped the rope around the center beam, pushed my feet against the hull, and forced the creature's head sideways. Each time it struggled, the hook tore deeper. Black fluid spread through the glowing water. The predator weakened. I seized the broken oar and drove its splintered end into the soft tissue beneath its jaw. Once. Twice the creature convulsed. Then it stopped. Silence returned around my skiff. A golden notification opened. Night predator defeated. First kill bonus awarded. Material extraction available. Would you like to reconstruct the target? I looked at the dead creature floating beside me. Reconstructed. Blue light spread across its body. Flesh, scale, bone, and tendon broke apart into streams of energy. They flowed into my damaged hull. The cracks sealed. The boards thickened. A layer of translucent scales formed along the outer surface. The broken oar straightened and sharpened into a proper paddle. The system continued. Biological material integrated. New vessel trait acquired. Tide scale coating. Physical resistance increased. Water friction reduced. Night predator scent acquired. Lesser predators will avoid your vessel. Vessel grade upgraded. Basic survival skiff evolved into reinforced hunting boat. The boat expanded beneath me. The bow rose. A narrow storage compartment formed under the seat. A bone-reinforced keel extended along the bottom. The scale coating shimmered in the darkness, then changed color to match the surrounding water. I ran my hand along the hull smooth. Cold. The entire battle had taken less than 4 minutes. But those 4 minutes changed everything. The people with modern ships believed their advantage came from what they had received. Mine came from what I could become. I opened the vessel interface. Name your vessel. I thought of my father's shipyard. His hands had always smelled like cedar dust and engine oil. Whenever a customer asked him why he repaired boats other yards called hopeless, he gave the same answer. Nothing is scrap until the last man gives up on it. I touched the side of the hull. Last Hope. The name burned across the interface. Vessel Last Hope. Grade Ethan Cross. Vessel Last Hope. Evolution progress 14%. Next possible evolution path detected. Path 1, Swift Raider. Path 2, Armored Fishing Warship. The third option was locked. Beneath it was a requirement. Absorb 1 vessel core. I stared at the words. A vessel core. The system gave no explanation. Then a distress flare rose into the sky. Red light spread across the clouds. A ship horn sounded 3 times from the west. Through the darkness, I saw the outline of a large fishing trawler. Its deck lights flashed on and off. Men shouted. Metal rang against metal. A woman's voice burst through the local channel. Any vessel nearby, please respond. Our engine is dead. Something is inside the lower deck. Another voice followed, male, calm, familiar. Do not waste fuel helping them. The first rule of the ocean is that weak vessels become resources. Marcus Vale. His catamaran appeared half a mile beyond the trawler, moving slowly with its lights off. He was watching. The woman on the trawler spoke again. We have food, medical supplies, tools. We can trade, Marcus replied before anyone else could. You can transfer everything to my vessel. I may allow some of you aboard. How many? 1. There was silence. The woman's voice hardened. There are 12 people here. Then choose the most useful one. I gripped the paddle. The old me might have stayed hidden. The old me had spent years lowering his eyes while men like Marcus bought what other people had built. I knew how his mind worked. He would wait until the trawler's crew was exhausted, then board them, take their supplies, and throw the survivors into the water. He had not changed. The world had simply become honest enough for him to stop pretending. I angled Last Hope toward the trawler. The scale coating slid silently through the water. A system prompt appeared. Warning. Target vessel contains hostile life forms. Estimated threat level, high. Estimated material value, exceptional. Possible vessel core detected. My pulse slowed. The night predator scent kept smaller creatures away. The trawler's flashing lights drew the larger ones toward it, but they ignored my boat as I passed. I reached the stern without being noticed. A rope ladder hung over the side. The lower half was covered in black fluid. I tied Last Hope beneath the shadow of the hull and climbed. The deck smelled of diesel, salt, and fear. 2 men held fishing spears near the cabin door. Another pressed a towel against a wound in his thigh. A teenage boy crouched behind a crate with a kitchen knife. The woman who had spoken on the channel stood near the wheelhouse. She was in her early third of the jaw, and a yellow raincoat stained with grease. She aimed a flare gun at my chest. Who are you, Ethan Cross? What ship? I pointed over the side. She looked. Her eyes narrowed when she saw the little hunting boat. That thing survived the tide? It did more than survive. A heavy impact came from below deck. The steel floor jumped beneath our feet. Everyone turned. Something scraped along the inside of the hull. Slowly, deliberately. The woman lowered the flare gun by an inch. I'm Lena Ward. I was a marine engineer before this started. The system assigned me this trawler, but something climbed through the intake and destroyed the engine. We sealed the lower hatch. Another impacts bent upward. How many creatures? We saw one. You're wrong. She stared at me. I pointed to the black fluid near the rope ladder. That blood did not come from the creature inside. It came from something that tried to enter and was dragged away. The teenage boy whispered, dragged away by what? The hatch bulged. A thin metal spike punched through it, then another, then 6 more. The crew backed away. Lena's face tightened. Marcus's voice returned through the channel. I can still save one of you. The offer expires in 2 minutes. I looked toward his catamaran. It had moved closer. Close enough to watch the trawler die. Close enough to harvest what remained. Lena followed my gaze. He wants our supplies. He wants your vessel core. You know what that is? Not yet. The hatch tore open. A creature unfolded from the darkness below. It had the body of a crab, but its shell was made of rusted metal plates. Human-sized claws struck the deck. Pipes and hooks protruded from its back. A cluster of yellow eyes rotated above a circular mouth filled with grinding teeth. Behind it, smaller shapes moved in the stairwell. Not one creature. A colony. The crew raised their weapons. The metal crab charged. I did not retreat. I watched the deck. The trawler had been built for hauling heavy nets. Steel cables ran through pulleys above us. A hydraulic winch stood near the stern. One cable still held a net, loaded with broken crates and drowned debris. Weight. Leverage. My father's voice returned from 20 years ago. A ship was never just a hull. Every part could become a weapon if the captain understood why it had been placed there. I pointed at Lena. Can you activate the winch? The emergency battery. Her eyes widened. 30 seconds. You have 15. She ran. The crab lunged. I grabbed the loose end of the net cable and threw it across the deck. Everyone behind the anchor housing, they hesitated. I shouted. The creature crossed the cable. I wrapped it around the forward bollard and pulled. The cable rose ankle high. The crab's front legs struck it. Its momentum carried the rest of its body forward. It flipped. The deck shook as 2 tons of metal shell crashed onto its back. Now the winch roared. The hanging net dropped. Crates, chains, twisted pipes, and wet timber slammed down onto the creature. Its shell cracked. Black fluid burst across the deck. The smaller creatures poured from the hatch. Dozens. Lena grabbed a fire hose and opened the valve from the emergency pressure tank. The stream hit the swarm and swept them toward the rail. The crew found their courage. Spears stabbed. Knives flashed. I jumped onto the trapped metal crab and drove my pocket knife through the cluster of yellow eyes. The creature screamed in a voice like grinding brakes. Then the system chimed. Elite Tide Scavenger defeated. First Elite Core resonance detected. The crab's chest split open. Inside was a sphere of blue light. Across the water, Marcus Vale's catamaran engines suddenly roared. He had seen it. His vessel turned toward us, fast. Lena looked from the approaching catamaran to the glowing core. What is that? I pulled the sphere free. The moment it touched my palm, every system window vanished. A single message replaced them. Unclaimed vessel core acquired. Absorb into last hope. Marcus's voice came through, stripped of charm. Put that core down. His catamaran cut through the waves. A mounted harpoon rotated toward the trawler. I looked over the rail at the little ship waiting below. The wooden plank everyone had laughed at was gone. In its place floated the beginning of something. None of them were ready to understand. I closed my fingers around the vessel core. Absorb it. The ocean beneath Last Hope turned blue. The trawler began to shake. Marcus's harpoon fired and my vessel started to evolve. The harpoon crossed the gap in less than a second. Its steel head struck the blue light surrounding Last Hope and stopped. The cable snapped tight behind it, humming above the waves. Marcus's catamaran jerked sideways as if an invisible hand had seized its bow. Everyone on the trawler froze. The harpoon remained suspended 3 feet above my vessel. Then the blue light folded inward. The steel head cracked. Lines of luminous energy spread through it, reducing the weapon into bright fragments that flowed down the cable and into Last Hope. Marcus shouted through the local channel. What did you do? I did not answer. The deck beneath my boots trembled harder. Below us, Last Hope lengthened. Its narrow hull split into overlapping layers, each one growing outward like the ribs of a living creature. Tide scales spread over the new frame. The bow sharpened. A covered cabin rose behind it. Bone-white supports curved along both sides, while strips of scavenged metal formed a reinforced spine from stern to prow. The orange rope I had salvaged less than an hour earlier multiplied into taut lines running through newly formed pulleys. The little paddle dissolved. In its place, a dark fin unfolded beneath the hull. Water surged away from it. A mast rose. Not a wooden pole nailed to a raft, but a flexible black column threaded with blue veins. A folded sail opened from its side, woven from translucent material that shimmered like fish skin beneath moonlight. The system spoke inside my head. Vessel core successfully integrated. Living warship path initiated. Current evolution incomplete. Insufficient materials detected. Emergency reconstruction authorized. Nearby unclaimed materials may be absorbed with captain approval. A transparent outline spread across my vision. Every loose object on the trawler glowed. Rusty chains. Damaged net frames. Scrap metal. The shattered elite scavenger. Even the wrecked engine beneath the deck. Lena saw the blue light creeping across the steel at our feet. What is happening to my ship? It is offering me materials. Her expression hardened immediately. This vessel is keeping 12 people alive. I know. The system highlighted the trawler's intact hull. Primary structure available. Absorption would complete evolution. I rejected it. The highlight vanished. Marcus's catamaran pulled against the embedded cable. Its engine screamed. The broken harpoon launcher tore free from his deck and flew across the water. Last Hope absorbed it before it landed. The new bow changed again. A rotating socket formed behind the forward railing. The harpoon launcher reappeared there, stripped of paint, smaller than before but far denser. Weapon reconstructed. Bone-piercing launcher acquired. Available ammunition, 0. Marcus stopped shouting. For the first time since the world changed, he sounded afraid. What kind of vessel did you receive? I climbed over the trawler's rail and descended the rope ladder. The instant my boots touched Last Hope's deck. Vessel, Last Hope, grade, evolving war skiff, length 32 feet, durability 1,400, crew capacity 8, storage capacity 40 units, traits, tidescale coating, lesser predator scent, adaptive hull, material reconstruction, weapons, bone-piercing launcher, devour wreckage, evolution completion, 61%. The deck shifted under my feet. It was warm. Not from sunlight or machinery. It reacted to me. I placed one hand against the mast. A pulse traveled through the entire ship. Last Hope was not alive in the way an animal was alive, but it recognized me. It understood balance, direction, damage, hunger. And beneath all of that, it wanted to grow. Lena climbed down after me. She landed on the rear deck and stared at the translucent sail. This should not work. That sentence has already become useless. She touched one of the black supports. The material flexed beneath her fingers, then hardened. What powers it? I do. That is not an engineering answer. It is the only one I have. Above us, the remaining survivors gathered along the trawler's rail. The teenage boy leaned so far over the edge that one of the men caught his jacket. Marcus finally cut the harpoon cable. His catamaran began reversing. I opened the launcher interface. Compatible ammunition may be reconstructed from bone, metal, or compressed organic material. The dead scavenger still lay crushed beneath the net on the trawler. I pointed at it. Lena, do you want that corpse? She gave me a flat look. No, then release it. The system recognized her consent. Blue light climbed the side of the trawler and covered the creature. Its shell collapsed into particles, streamed over the rail and entered Last Hope's storage. Elite shell acquired. Predator bone acquired. Corroded metal acquired. Organic fuel acquired. Ammunition reconstruction available. I selected predator bone. The launcher rotated. A white spike grew inside its chamber, 6 feet long and narrow enough to punch through armor. Marcus's voice returned. You fire that weapon and everyone will know what you are. I faced his catamaran across the glowing water. What am I? A thief. The word almost made me laugh. He had watched 12 people prepare to die because helping them offered him no profit. He had demanded their supplies and planned to select one useful survivor like livestock. Now he called me a thief because I possessed something he wanted. Marcus continued. That core belonged to the vessel that killed the creature. I killed it, on their deck. With my plan, you could not have done it without their equipment. Lena stepped beside me. He could not have done it without us, she said. We could not have done it without him. The core chose the person who removed it. Marcus's voice turned cold. You are defending a man with a wooden toy while standing on a disabled ship. The sea behind his catamaran shifted. 3 large fins appeared. Then 5. The night predators had been following his engine noise. Marcus saw them on his radar. His arrogance vanished. The catamaran turned sharply and accelerated north. He did not warn us, he simply fled. The predators followed. For several seconds, the ocean became quiet. Then Lena looked at me. We need to repair our engine before dawn. You will not. Her hand moved toward the flare gun at her belt. I raised one finger. The intake housing is crushed. The drive shaft is bent. The gearbox has metal fragments inside it, and the fuel line is leaking into the lower compartment. Her eyes narrowed. You saw all that? My vessel analyzed yours. One of the men above us shouted. She is right about the fuel. We can smell it, deck. How long? Even with proper tools, 2 days. We do not have 2 days, no. The system timer appeared. Second calamity preview will unlock at sunrise. First regional event begins in 6 hours. A map opened. A red circle pulsed 80 miles southeast. Regional event, Drowned Harbor. Reward, navigation chart, construction blueprint, basic territory token. Warning. Only the first vessel to claim the harbor receives the territory token. I studied the map. A territory token. The word mattered more than the others. Ships kept people alive. Territory created power. The strongest vessel in the world could still be surrounded, starved, or denied repairs. A harbor meant walls, storage, freshwater systems, workshops, and a place to build something larger than a single deck. Marcus would understand that. So would every military officer, billionaire, and naval commander who received a modern vessel. I had 6 hours. Last hope was fast but incomplete. The trawler had supplies, tools, and people. I looked up at the survivors. A broad man with a gray beard answered. Frozen fish, canned food, spare rope, tools, diesel, medical kits. How much diesel? About 2,000 gallons. Any timber? Net frames. Crates. Replacement decking, metal stock? Lena answered this time. Repair plates, fasteners, cable, 2 spare anchors, and a damaged hydraulic crane. The system highlighted each item as she named it. Evolution completion rose in projected numbers. Timber would bring it to 68%. Metal stock to 75%. The damaged crane to 83%. The spare anchors to 87%. The engine components to 94%. It still would not be enough. Then I saw the trawler's lifeboats. 2 rigid orange craft hung from davits near the upper deck. Your lifeboats. Lena's expression closed. No. You have 12 people and 2 lifeboats designed for 20. They are emergency equipment. Your entire ship is emergency equipment now. She stepped closer. You want me to dismantle the only evacuation craft we have and feed them to your vessel. I want to turn a dead trawler into a ship that can move. Your ship holds 8 now. The word hung between us. Last Hope's deck shifted. A second row of seating began forming along the rails, then stopped halfway. The system displayed the requirement. Additional crew capacity available after next evolution. Lena read my face. You think it will grow. I know it will. You do not know what shape it will take. No. You do not know whether it will still float. It has done better than everything we knew would float. She looked back at the trawler. The crew watched us in silence. The deck lights flickered. One died, then another. The emergency battery was fading. The smell of leaking fuel grew stronger. Lena closed her eyes for 1 second. When she opened them, the hesitation was gone. Take 1 lifeboat. Both. 1. Both lifeboats, the damaged crane, half the spare decking, 1 anchor, and the destroyed engine components. Her jaw tightened. You negotiate like a pirate. I negotiate like the man with the only moving vessel. The gray-bearded man laughed once. Lena shot him a look. He shrugged. He is not wrong. She turned back to me. We keep the second anchor, all food, all medicine, and every hand tool. Agreed. We keep control of our supplies. Agreed. You transport all 12 of us. Agreed. Your vessel only holds 8. It will not when I am finished, and if you are wrong, then 6 people stay on the trawler until I return. Her eyes searched mine. You would return? Yes, Marcus would have lied. I did not need to. Lena held out her hand. Deal. The system chimed. Temporary alliance formed. Loyalty status uncertain. Crew recruitment available. I ignored the prompt. Trust built under pressure was useful. Trust demanded too early became a weakness. The next hour transformed the sea around us into a shipyard. The crew lowered the first lifeboat directly beside Last Hope. I placed my hand on its hull. Absorb orange fiberglass turned into blue light. Last Hope widened. The rear deck extended 6 feet. A second cabin wall rose. Storage compartments opened beneath the floor. Crew capacity increased to 12. The first lifeboat alone fulfilled my promise. Nobody spoke for a moment. Then the teenage boy grinned. That was incredible. Lena pointed at him. Owen, keep your hands away from anything glowing. He nodded, then immediately leaned closer to the mast. The damaged crane came next. Steel arms folded into light and flowed through the deck. A compact lifting frame formed near the stern, powered not by hydraulics but by thick black tendons beneath the plating. The spare decking reinforced the cabin. The repair plates thickened the bow. The anchor transformed into a hooked weapon stored beneath the hull. The destroyed engine was the most valuable piece. When I approved its absorption, Last Hope shuddered. A low vibration rose through my boots. The black fin beneath the hull split into 2. A chamber formed at the rear of the vessel, lined with bone and steel. It drew in seawater, compressed it, and expelled it through twin channels. Propulsion system acquired. Adaptive water jet unlocked. Fuel requirement none. Maximum speed 38 knots. Lena crouched beside the new control column. There was no wheel. Instead, a black ridge curved upward from the deck, shaped to fit both hands. You steer through this? I touched it. Last Hope turned 5 degrees without moving forward. Lena slowly stood. I spent 11 years learning marine engineering. Was it wasted? No. She looked across the evolving hull, but I may have to learn it again. The second lifeboat pushed evolution completion to 99%. 1% remained. The system scanned everything nearby: food, tools, clothing, fuel, the intact structure of the trawler. I refused all of it. Then a soft signal came from the water beneath us. The body of the first night predator I had killed was gone, but fragments remained trapped along the damaged section of the trawler's lower hull. Scales, teeth, a piece of jawbone. I lowered the crane hook and dragged the remains to the surface. Absorbed, the final materials entered Last Hope. The entire vessel went still. Every glowing line vanished. Darkness returned. Owen whispered from the rope ladder. Did it fail? The system answered. Evolution complete. War skiff evolved into tidebreaker cutter. The change began beneath the water. Last Hope keel deepened. Its hull stretched to nearly 50 feet. The bow rose high enough to split heavy waves, while overlapping tide scales locked over reinforced wood and metal. The central cabin expanded into a compact wheelhouse with transparent panels formed from hardened predator membrane. The translucent sail divided into 3 sections. The mast leaned backward, turning aerodynamic. Bone supports unfolded along the sides like folded wings. The launcher on the bow grew a rotating ammunition rack. At the stern, the lifting frame settled beside a broad cargo deck. A narrow upper platform formed above the cabin, giving a clear view in every direction. The system interface filled my vision. Vessel, Last Hope. Grade tidebreaker cutter. Length 49 feet. Durability 6,800. Maximum crew 24. Maximum speed 52 knots. Storage capacity 200 units. Primary weapon, bone-piercing launcher. Secondary weapon, abyss anchor. Core ability, devour wreckage. New trait, storm balance. New function, crew stations. New function, blueprint reconstruction. Next evolution requirement, 100,000 material value, 3 vessel cores, 1 territory heart. The crew stared down from the trawler. Their dead vessel towered over Last Hope, but it no longer felt larger. It felt old. Lena descended first. The moment she stepped onto the deck, a system prompt appeared before me. Crew position available. Candidate specialty detected, marine engineer. Assigned position? You want to work? Her eyebrows rose. We just stripped my ship apart. That was salvage. Work comes next. What position? Chief engineer. Her gaze moved over the living mast, the water jet chamber, the bone-reinforced hull, and the controls no engineer on Earth had ever seen. I do not understand half of this vessel. You understand more than anyone else I have met. That is a dangerous standard. It is the standard available. She glanced at her people climbing down behind her. What happens if I accept? You keep this ship functioning. You study every change. You tell me before something fails. And in return, food, protection, a share of salvage, and a voice when engineering decisions are made, not command decisions. No. She almost smiled. At least you are honest. She placed her palm on the control ridge. I accept. Crew member registered. Lena Ward assigned as chief engineer. Engineering efficiency increased by 20%. Repair speed increased by 15%. A faint blue symbol appeared on the shoulder of her raincoat, shaped like a wave crossing a gear. She stared at it. So this is real. Became real when the sky assigned you a ship. One by one, the others boarded. Graybeard was Thomas Reed, a commercial fisherman with 40 years at sea. I assigned him as navigator. Owen Carter was 17, too curious for his own safety, but he knew electronics and had worked summers repairing radios with his uncle. He became communications officer. The injured man was Daniel Cho, an emergency room nurse. He became medic. The remaining survivors had experience in fishing, logistics, welding, cooking, and mechanical repair. Not warriors, not yet. But empires were not built by warriors alone. They were built by people who kept the lights on, measured supplies, repaired damage, and knew how to turn raw material into something useful. The trawler's food and equipment took 20 minutes to transfer. Enough emergency supplies for anyone who found it, and a beacon broadcasting its location. Thomas studied the map inside the wheelhouse. You said there is a harbor 80 miles southeast. Yes. At 52 knots we can reach it before sunrise. If the sea stays clear, it will not. He pointed at 3 moving clusters on the map. Other vessels had received the same event notification. A military patrol boat approached from the north. A large motor yacht came from the west. And behind us, moving faster than both, Marcus Vale's catamaran had turned around. He had escaped the predators. Now he was following us. Owen opened the regional channel. Marcus's voice filled the cabin. Attention, all nearby vessels. The man operating the black cutter stole a vessel core from survivors in distress. He is dangerous, unstable, and armed. Lena laughed without humor. He abandoned us. He knows, Marcus continued. I am offering a reward of food, fuel, and protected crew status to anyone who disables his ship before he reaches the drowned harbor. The channel erupted. What reward? How much food? What vessel is he operating? Is that the wooden plank guy? Marcus posted another image. It was the screenshot from the beginning of the night. Me lying across the plank, helpless, soaked. Ridiculous. Then he added a second image captured moments ago. Last Hope cutting through the glowing sea with its black sail open and blue lines running along the hull. The comments stopped. For several seconds, nobody wrote anything. Then a message appeared. How did a plank become that? Another followed. What grade is that ship? Then another. I will pay for the evolution method. Owen looked at me. What should I tell them? Nothing. Marcus expected anger. He expected me to defend myself, explain the core, or reveal how Last Hope evolved. Any response would give him information. Silence gave him none. I pushed both hands into the control ridge. The living surface tightened around my fingers. Last Hope leaned forward. The water jets engaged. The cutter surged across the sea. Behind us, the abandoned trawler shrank into darkness. Ahead, lightning flickered over the drowned harbor. The military vessel changed course to intercept us. Its identification appeared on Thomas's map. Captain, that patrol boat has a forward cannon. How far? 11 miles and closing. The yacht approached from the west. Marcus remained behind, letting the others take the risk. A ladder of enemies. First the desperate opportunists, then the armed professionals, then the smiling coward who believed he could own the result. The system opened a new detected. Temporary ranking initialized. First place, unknown naval patrol vessel. Second place, luxury motor yacht. Third place, Last Hope. Fourth place, Black Crown. Marcus had named his catamaran Black Crown. I stared at the ranking. Then I increased speed. Last Hope's hull lowered into the water. The black sail tightened. The lesser predator scent faded as the vessel accelerated, and larger shapes began moving beneath us. Thomas gripped the navigation table. Something is following our wake. The sonar image appeared, one enormous body, longer than the trawler. It rose from the deep directly beneath our stern. Lena looked at the engineering display. We cannot outrun that and fight 3 vessels. I watched the patrol boat approaching from the north. Its cannon rotated toward us. The yacht opened a missile hatch. Marcus remained safely behind them all. I placed my hand over the abyss anchor control. We are not going to fight all 4. Lena followed my gaze. Understanding entered her eyes. You are going to make them fight each other. The creature beneath us opened its mouth. The patrol boat fired. I turned Last Hope directly toward the shell and smiled. The shell crossed the water at nearly the speed of sound. I turned Last Hope into it. Everyone behind me braced for impact. At the final instant, I pulled the control ridge hard to the left. The living hull answered before thought became motion. Last Hope rolled onto one side, not enough to expose the deck, but enough to let the shell skim past the bow. The pressure wave struck us like a hammer. Transparent panels flexed inward. Owen fell against the communication station. Thomas caught the edge of the navigation table with both hands. The shell hit the sea behind us. Water rose in a white column. The creature beneath our stern followed the explosion. That was what I'd been waiting for. Its enormous body left our wake and surged toward the impact point, drawn by force, vibration, and the sharp metallic scent of the projectile. The patrol boat fired again. This time I did not evade early. I held our course directly toward it. Lena stood at the engineering station, eyes moving between hull strain, speed, and the shadow rising beneath us. You are letting it get closer. Yes, how close? Close enough to choose the louder meal. The patrol boat captain opened the regional channel. Unidentified cutter, cut power, and prepare to be boarded. I recognized the voice immediately. Commander Adrian Holt had appeared in recruitment campaigns, disaster relief documentaries, and naval ceremonies before the world ended. He was disciplined, decorated, and loved by the public. He had also fired on a civilian vessel without warning, because a ranking screen told him we were competition. His image appeared beside the transmission. Square jaw, gray eyes, dark uniform, no fear. Disarm your forward weapon, Holt said. Transfer your vessel core and evolution data. Your crew will be processed according to naval emergency law. There was no navy anymore. No courts, no government, only ships and the men standing on them. But Holt had found a uniform, so he believed the old world still belonged to him, I answered. You fired first. You ignored an authorized interception. Authorized by whom? Silence lasted half a second. By the commanding officer of the strongest vessel in this region. There it was, not Law. Strength wearing Law's corpse. The patrol boat fired a third shell. I waited until the cannon flashed, then I drove Last Hope forward. The shell passed above our cabin and tore through the black sail. The living fabric split. Blue light sprayed into the air. Lena swore. Sail integrity dropped by 30%. Can it heal? With material, then prepare to collect some. The creature surfaced between us and the patrol boat. Its head alone was the size of a house. Black plates overlapped along a long reptilian skull. Pale growths hung beneath its jaw, opening and closing like underwater flowers. A ring of eyes stared in every direction. Its mouth opened wide enough to swallow Last Hope whole. The patrol boat's third shell struck the side of its neck. The creature turned. Not toward us, toward Holt. The ocean exploded. It rose completely from the water, revealing a body longer than a city block. 6 finned limbs tore through the waves. Its tail struck the surface and created a wall of water that rolled over the patrol boat's bow. The cannon fired again, point blank. The shell cracked one of the creature's facial plates. Black fluid sprayed across the patrol boat. The beast screamed. Every transparent panel on Last Hope vibrated. The regional channel filled with panicked voices. "What is that thing? Change course. Do not go near the harbor." Commander Holt responded. Holt did not retreat. That was his first admirable decision. It was also his worst. Forward guns, continuous fire, engines at maximum. Aim for the eyes. The patrol boat accelerated toward the creature. Its automatic weapons opened. Red lines crossed the darkness. Rounds struck scales, fins, and exposed tissue, most flattened, some penetrated. The creature slammed one limb onto the patrol boat's deck. Metal folded. Men disappeared beneath it. The vessel listed sharply. Still, its cannon fired. The yacht approaching from the west slowed. Its name appeared on the ranking. Sovereign Grace. The owner entered the regional channel. "My name is Victor Dane. I am willing to assist the naval vessel in exchange for shared claim rights to the harbor." I knew that name too. Dane owned hotels, casinos, and private security companies. He had spent his life purchasing rules that other people had to obey. His yacht was nearly 100 feet long, with multiple decks, armored windows, and a missile system that no civilian vessel should have possessed before the ocean transformation. Holt answered through bursts of static. "Engage the creature. Claim rights will be negotiated after the threat is neutralized." Victor Dane laughed. "I prefer guarantees." The patrol boat's bow vanished beneath the creature's weight. Holt's voice hardened. "You want a territory token, Dane? Earn it." The yacht's missile hatch opened. A short missile launched from its upper deck. It struck the creature behind the head. Fire rolled across the scales. The beast released the patrol boat and twisted toward the yacht. That gave Holt room to move. His vessel reversed, damaged but alive. Exactly as I had hoped, the creature now faced 2 heavily armed ships. Both wanted the harbor. Both believed they could kill it. Neither noticed Last Hope sliding along the edge of the battle. Thomas pointed at the map. "The harbor entrance is 23 miles away. Set the fastest route. The direct route passes within a mile of the creature." "Good." He looked at me as if deciding whether I was reckless or insane. Then he plotted it. Marcus's black crown remained behind us, outside the creature's immediate range. His plan was becoming clear. He wanted the patrol boat and yacht to weaken each other. If one survived, he would follow it into the harbor. If both fell, he would take their wreckage. He and I were thinking the same way. The difference was that he had announced me as the threat. I had let him believe he was invisible. Owen touched his headset. "Captain Blackcrown is broadcasting on a private band. Can you hear it?" "Not clearly." "He is talking to someone on Sovereign Grace. Victor Dane." Marcus was already forming an alliance. "Record everything. I only have fragments." Fragments become useful when someone lies. Owen nodded and adjusted the receiver. Behind us, the creature struck the yacht with its tail. Sovereign Grace rolled hard enough to lift one side from the water. Glass shattered along the upper deck. Men slid across the hull and vanished overboard. The missile system fired again. This shot entered the creature's open mouth. The explosion came from inside its skull. The beast reeled. Holt seized the moment. His patrol boat rushed forward and fired its cannon into the cracked facial plate. The shell penetrated. The creature screamed again. Its movements became violent and unfocused. A fin struck Holt's vessel near the stern. The patrol boat spun. Its engine noise changed. Thomas listened. Propeller damage. Lena looked at the engineering interface. "Both ships are losing mobility. Then Marcus will move soon." As if summoned by his name, Black Crown accelerated, not toward the harbor, toward Sovereign Grace. Marcus opened a private channel to Victor Dane, but Owen routed the intercepted fragments through the cabin speakers. "Your western side is open." Static swallowed the next sentence. Then Marcus again. "Boarding team ready." "Shared claim," Dane replied, but only 3 words came through. After the cutter, I smiled. They still wanted me first. Good. Enemies made predictable decisions when they believed they were hunting. I reduced Last Hope's speed. Lena looked up. Why, to let them close. The harbor is ahead. So is the trap. I turned toward a field of floating debris created by the battle. Broken railing, shattered glass, crates. A section of the patrol boat's outer armor. Fragments of the creature's scales. Last Hope's core ability activated. Devour wreckage range 100 feet. We entered the debris field. Blue lines spread across the surface of the water. Materials disappeared beneath us. The torn sail repaired itself. Metal flowed into the bow. Creature scales reinforced the hull. Bone ammunition grew inside the launcher rack. The evolution progress bar did not move. This was not enough to create a new vessel. But our durability climbed. 6,800 became 7,400. Then 8,000. Then 8,600. The patrol boat's armor carried more value than everything I had absorbed before it. New ammunition type available. Compressed armor bolt. Penetration, high. I selected it. A dark steel projectile formed in the launcher. Marcus saw the blue light. His voice entered the public channel. He is stealing the wreckage. Stop him before he evolves again. Victor Dane answered. Sovereign Grace, target the black cutter. The yacht's forward gun turned toward us. The patrol boat was still fighting the creature. Dane was willing to abandon Holt the instant he saw greater profit elsewhere. The yacht fired. Last Hope's silent current ability ended as I pushed maximum power. The projectile struck where we had been. We shot past the creature's tail. Its nearest eye tracked us. For one dangerous second, I felt its full attention. Then Holt's cannon fired into the wound behind its skull. The creature turned back. We crossed the final mile between the battle and the open route to the harbor. Sovereign Grace followed. Black Crown followed behind it. Marcus had placed Dane between himself and every threat. Smart. Cowardly. I respected effective things. The drowned harbor appeared on the horizon as the darkness began to thin. At first, it looked like a broken city floating on the sea. Then the shapes became clearer. Cargo cranes leaned at impossible angles. Warehouse roofs protruded from black water. The upper floors of office buildings stood above the waves, their windows shattered. A concrete breakwater surrounded the harbor entrance, but part of it had collapsed. Ships lay everywhere, container vessels, fishing boats, ferries, pleasure craft. Most were half submerged. Some had been torn open. Others looked untouched. At the center of the harbor, a tower of golden light rose from a platform near the old customs terminal, the territory token. The system issued an announcement. Drowned harbor event begins. Claim condition, reach the territory heart and maintain control for 10 minutes. Warning, harbor guardians are active. Movement spread across the wrecks. Figures rose from the decks. Not predators. People, at least they had once been people. Their skin was gray and swollen. Barnacles covered their faces. Ropes wound around their limbs, as though the sea had dressed them in the remains of their deaths. Some carried hooks, others dragged rusted chains. Water poured constantly from their mouths. Hundreds of them turned toward the harbor entrance. Thomas whispered. Drowned crew. A second announcement appeared. Guardian class, tidebound dead. Individual threat, low. Collective threat, extreme. Territory heart protection range, entire harbor. The dead began moving. They climbed from wreck to wreck. They dropped into the water and swam without breathing. They filled the broken piers. Dane's yacht came up behind us, its gun fired. The shell hit a cluster of tidebound dead on a warehouse roof. Bodies flew apart. For every Guardian destroyed, 3 more climbed from the water. Victor Dane spoke. Ethan Cross, halt your vessel. He knew my name now. Marcus had given it to him. You are surrounded by superior force, Dane continued. Transfer control of your cutter, and I will grant you and your crew protected status. Lena looked at me. Everyone likes that phrase. Protected status means useful prisoner. Daniel checked the injured crewman's bandage. What is the alternative? I studied the harbor. The direct path to the golden platform was blocked by guardians and wreckage. Sovereign Grace had greater firepower, but its size made navigation difficult. Black Crown was smaller and fast, but Marcus would not enter first. The patrol boat remained behind, damaged and occupied with the sea creature. We had speed and a chief engineer. I looked at Lena. How much control do you have over the lifting frame? Enough to move cargo, pull debris, or tear something apart if the attachment points are weak. Can it swing the abyss anchor? She glanced at the stern. The hooked weapon rested beneath the hull, connected to black tendon cables. I thought that was controlled from your station. It is. I want you to control the release angle. Her eyes moved toward the harbor wrecks. What are you planning? We make a path. I assigned her authority over the stern weapon. A new control formed at her station. She placed both hands on it. The abyss anchor dropped into the water, its hooked head unfolded. Last Hope accelerated toward a narrow channel between a tilted ferry and a container ship. Guardians poured onto both wrecks. Owen's voice rose. Hundreds ahead. Hold course. The first tidebound dead jumped. Thomas ducked. One landed on the bow. Its fingers ended in broken bone points. A rope noose hung from its neck. It lunged at me with its mouth open. I released the control ridge with one hand and drove my pocket knife into its temple. The rusty blade broke. For one breath, I stared at the empty handle. My father's knife. The last thing I owned from him. The Guardian struck my chest. I fell against the launcher. Thomas hit it with a metal pole. Lena kicked its knee sideways. The creature dropped. Daniel buried a fishing spear through its eye. The body dissolved into wet gray ash. The broken knife handle remained in my hand. Something inside me went very still. I had survived the ocean. I had watched ships appear. I had built Last Hope from nothing. But the sight of that broken blade hurt more than the creature's strike. My father had carried it for 20 years. He had sharpened it every Sunday. He had handed it to me on the last day our shipyard remained open. Tools remember the hands that used them, he had said. Now the blade was gone. The system opened a prompt. Damaged personal item detected. Material memory present. Would you like to bind this item to your vessel? I looked at the broken handle. Not yet. I closed my fist around it and put it inside my shirt. The harbor guardians swarmed both sides. Last Hope passed between the wrecks. Their hooks struck our tide scales. Some caught the railing. Others clung to the sail supports and dragged themselves aboard. The crew fought. Thomas used a boat hook with brutal precision. Daniel protected the injured. Owen carried ammunition from storage and struck anything that reached the cabin. The cook, Maria Sanz, wielded a meat cleaver and cursed every guardian in 2 languages. Lena watched the stern display. Anchor is beneath the ferry. Hook it. She pulled. The black tendon cable tightened. Last Hope leaned. The ferry groaned. Its rusted hull shifted. Guardians fell from its deck by the dozens. More power, I said. The attachment point may tear. That is the point. Lena understood. She drove the lifting control forward. The abyss anchor ripped through the ferry's lower structure. Metal split with a sound like thunder. A wall of seawater entered the wreck. The ferry rolled. Its upper deck crashed against the container ship. Both vessels moved. The channel widened. Hundreds of guardians were crushed between them or thrown into the water. Last Hope shot through the opening. Behind us, Sovereign Grace attempted to follow. Its broader hull did not fit. Victor Dane shouted orders. The yacht slowed. Black Crown nearly struck its stern. Marcus cursed over the channel. I turned Last Hope toward the golden platform. The ranking updated. First place, Sovereign Grace. Third place, Black Crown. Fourth place, Naval Patrol Vessel. We had taken the lead. The Territory Heart stood less than 2 miles ahead. Then the water between us and the platform began to rise. Not from a wave, from something standing. A massive figure emerged from the harbor. It wore the remains of an old diving suit reinforced with chains, anchors, and ship plates. Its helmet had no glass, only darkness filled the opening. One hand held a rusted ship propeller like an axe. The other dragged a chain connected to an entire sunken tugboat. Every tidebound dead in the harbor stopped moving. They turned toward it. Then they bowed. The system warning covered my vision. Harbor Guardian awakened. Title: The Threat Level Catastrophic. Territory claim locked until Guardian is defeated. The Admiral lifted its propeller axe. A voice came from inside the empty helmet. All vessels entering my harbor belong to the dead. It swung. The air itself split. A crescent of black water crossed the harbor and struck Last Hope's bow. The reinforced scales shattered. The deck tore open. I was thrown backward. Lena hit the wall. Thomas went down. The vessel alarm screamed. Durability reduced by 3,000. Forward weapon damaged. Waterjet instability detected. Second strike will cause critical failure. Sovereign Grace broke through the blocked channel behind us by firing into the wrecks. Victor Dane saw the Admiral. His yacht stopped. Black Crown stopped behind him. Nobody moved forward. The drowned Admiral raised its weapon again. Marcus entered the public channel. Ethan, keep it occupied. I tasted blood. He had finally dropped the polite lie. No accusation. No protected status. He wanted me to die in front of the Guardian so he could study its attack. Victor Dane added his voice. If you weaken it, your surviving crew may be permitted aboard Sovereign Grace. Lena pushed herself upright. Blood ran from a cut near her hairline. She looked at the destroyed bow, then at the ships waiting behind us. They are using us. Yes, can Last Hope survive another hit? No. The Admiral began its second swing. I opened the material storage, creature bone, patrol armors, wood, Metal, organic fuel. Not enough to restore everything before the strike landed. Then Owen spoke. Captain, I have the private transmission. What transmission? The one between Marcus and Dane. He played the cleaned recording. Marcus's voice filled the cabin. Let Cross open the harbor. Once the Guardian attacks, strike his engines. Victor Dane replied. And the survivors? Take the engineer. Kill the rest. Lena's face became empty. Everyone heard it. Everyone understood. Owen looked at me. Should I broadcast it? Not yet. The drowned admiral's weapon reached the top of its arc. I looked at Sovereign Grace, at Black Crown, at the Guardian, at the wreckage surrounding the golden platform. Then I saw the answer. The tugboat chained to the admiral's left arm was not merely weight. It was an anchor. The Guardian drew power from the harbor. The chain connected it to something below the territory heart. A dark pulse traveled through those links every few seconds. The drowned admiral was not protecting the heart. The heart was feeding it. I touched the abyss anchor control. Our hooked weapon still trailed beneath the water. Lena, can you attach us to the admiral's chain? She followed the black links with her eyes. At this distance, can you? One chance. That is enough. I turned Last Hope directly toward the Guardian. Thomas grabbed the navigation table. You said another strike destroys us. It will. Then why are we moving closer? So it misses. The admiral swung. I drove the damaged water jets beyond their safe limit. Last Hope surged forward. The black crescent passed over our stern and struck Sovereign Grace. The yacht's armored windows burst. Its upper deck split. Victor Dane's voice vanished in static. The admiral turned toward us. We were inside the reach of its axe, too close for another full swing. It brought the propeller weapon down like a hammer. I turned beneath its arm. The blade missed our cabin by inches and crushed a submerged warehouse roof. Now Lena released the abyss anchor. The hooked head flew through the air. It wrapped around the chain connected to the admiral's wrist. The black tendons locked. Last Hope jerked sideways. The Guardian looked down. I pushed the water jets to maximum. We did not try to pull the admiral. We pulled the chain across its body. The links tightened around its legs. The tugboat moved. Not much. Enough, the admiral lost balance. One knee struck the harbor floor. Water exploded around us. Target weakness exposed, the system announced. A pulsing point appeared where the chain entered the darkness beneath the territory platform. I looked at the damaged launcher. Can we fire? Primary weapon alignment failed. Manual, I left the control ridge. Last Hope continued circling under Thomas's navigation guidance. I climbed onto the shattered bow. The launcher hung sideways, its base cracked. The compressed armor bolt remained inside. I forced the weapon upward with both hands. It would not move. Lena joined me. Together, we dragged the barrel toward the glowing weakness. The admiral reached for us. Its metal fingers closed around the stern. Last durability fell. 2,000. 1,500. 1,000. The Guardian began lifting us from the water. Lena shouted. Fire! The launcher interface remained red. Alignment incomplete. I looked at the target, at the moving chain, at the ruined base. Then I jammed the broken pocketknife handle into the launcher's shattered joint. It fit. The old wood locked the mechanism in place. The system chimed. Personal item recognized. Detected. Temporary stability acquired. My father's tool held the weapon steady. The targeting line turned blue. I fired. The compressed armor bolt crossed the harbor. It entered the glowing point beneath the territory platform. For 1 second, nothing happened. Then the harbor floor cracked. Golden light erupted through black water. The chain shattered. The drowned admiral stopped moving. A sound came from inside its helmet, not a roar. A breath. The ancient armor collapsed. Ship plates fell away. Chains struck the water. The propeller axe sank. The massive body broke into streams of blue and gold material that rushed toward Last Hope. The system announcement shook the entire harbor. Drowned admiral defeated. First regional Guardian kill achieved. Captain Ethan Cross awarded first claim rights. Territory heart unlocked. Every surviving vessel heard it. Every Guardian turned to ash. Every wreck in the harbor became silent. Last Hope dropped back into the water. The Guardian's material entered our hull. Broken scales repaired. The bow closed. The launchers rebuilt itself around the pocketknife handle, preserving it at the center of the weapon. A dark wooden grip formed beneath the firing control. My father's knife had not disappeared. It had become part of the ship. Unique weapon evolved. Memory bolt launcher acquired. Special trait, craftsman's hand. Effect, reconstructed tools and weapons retain techniques associated with their previous owners. I touched the wooden grip. For one heartbeat, I felt the pressure of another hand over mine. Steady. Patient. Certain, nothing was scrap until the last man gave up. I had not given up. The territory platform opened ahead. A path of golden light formed across the water. The system timer appeared. Maintain control for 10 minutes. I turned last hope toward the heart. Behind us, Sovereign Grace was damaged but moving. Black Crown remained intact. Marcus entered the channel. His voice had changed. No laughter, no performance, only urgency. Dane, stop him now. The yacht's remaining gun rotated toward us. Owen looked at me. The recording, I faced the territory heart. Broadcast it. Marcus's private words spread across every regional channel. Let Cross open the harbor. Once the Guardian attacks, strike his engines. Then Victor Dane. And the survivors? Then Marcus again. Take the engineer, kill the rest. Silence followed. The crew of Sovereign Grace heard what their allies planned. The surviving patrol boat heard it. Every independent vessel approaching the harbor heard it. Victor Dane shouted. That recording is fabricated. Owen played it again. Marcus cut his transmission. Black Crown turned away from Sovereign Grace. Too late. The yacht's gun stopped tracking us. It rotated toward Marcus. Black Crown accelerated. Victor Dane fired. The shell missed Marcus's stern by a few feet. Black Crown fled into the wreck field. The harbor ranking updated. First place, Black Crown. Third place, Sovereign Grace. Fourth place, Naval Patrol Vessel. We reached the golden platform. I placed my hand against the territory heart. Warm light climbed my arm. Climb remaining, 10 minutes. The entire harbor map opened before me. Warehouses, repair docks, fuel tanks, freshwater reservoirs, cranes, submerged workshops, defensive towers. Most were damaged. Some were locked. All could be rebuilt. At the center of the interface, a new name waited. Name your territory. The others gathered behind me. Lena stood with blood dried at her temple. Thomas leaned against the cabin wall. Owen still held his headset. Daniel supported the injured crewman. Maria kept the cleaver in one hand. They had boarded a wooden vessel because their own ship was dying. Now they stood at the center of a harbor that could become the first true stronghold on the ocean. I thought of Marcus's first message. Some men were born to command the ocean. Some were born to become fish food. He had believed ships created rulers. He was wrong. Rulers created ships. I entered the name. Crosshaven. The golden light expanded. Across the harbor, old cranes moved for the first time in years. Warehouse doors opened. Emergency lights flickered along the piers. Pumps activated beneath the water. Broken defense towers rotated toward the sea. The system announced our claim to every survivor in the region. Crosshaven territory established. Territory Lord Ethan Cross. Founding vessel Last Hope. Founding crew 12. Territory grade ruined harbor. Population capacity 5,000. Available resources low. Defensive readiness critical. First territory trial begins in 72 hours. A red warning appeared beneath it. Hostile fleet detected beyond regional boundary. Estimated vessel count 47. Fleet commander unknown. Objective seize Crosshaven territory heart. The claim timer continued. 9 minutes remained. Then 8. The ships outside the harbor slowed as they received the warning. Some turned away immediately. Others moved closer. 47 hostile vessels were coming. Crosshaven had broken walls, empty warehouses, damaged weapons, and 12 people. Marcus Vale was still inside the harbor. Victor Dane was wounded but alive. Commander Holt approached with what remained of his patrol boat. The latter had grown faster than expected. Good. I looked across the ruined docks and saw workshops, towers, farms, factories, fleets, and cities where everyone else saw wreckage. Last Hope had begun as a plank. Crosshaven had begun as a graveyard. I knew what both would become. The timer reached 7 minutes. Commander Holt opened a channel. His patrol boat entered the harbor trailing smoke. We need to speak. Marcus's Black Crown appeared between two wrecked cargo ships on the opposite side of the territory platform. Its harpoon launcher aimed at my back, and Victor Dane's damaged yacht blocked the only clear exit. 3 enemies. 7 minutes. 1 territory heart. I rested my hand on the wooden grip of the memory bolt launcher. Then come closer. Commander Holt's patrol boat entered Crosshaven first. Its bow rode low in the water. One side of the deck had been crushed by the drowned admiral, and the rear cannon mount was twisted toward the sky. Smoke leaked from the engine compartment. Half the running lights were dead. Still, the vessel moved with discipline. No wasted turns. No panic. No surrender. Holt brought it to a stop 200 yards from the territory platform and opened the channel again. We need to speak. Marcus's Black Crown remained behind the cargo wrecks. Victor Dane's Sovereign Grace blocked the eastern passage, its upper deck scarred and broken, but its remaining gun pointed directly at Last Hope. I watched all 3. The claim timer showed 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Speak, I said. Holt appeared on the channel display. Blood marked one side of his face. His uniform jacket was gone. A dark shirt clung to his shoulders, wet with seawater and oil. Behind him, sailors moved across the damaged deck, carrying hoses and medical kits. You claimed the harbor. I am claiming it. You defeated the Guardian. Yes, you also lured it toward my vessel. You fired on me before it appeared. His jaw tightened. I attempted to intercept an unknown armed vessel approaching a strategic objective. You attempted to secure an uncontrolled power capable of destabilizing the region. That is a longer way to say the same thing. That is a longer way to say the same thing. Several of Lena's people smiled. Holt did not. You think this is a private feud, he said. It is not. There are thousands of survivors beyond this harbor. They need order. Order under you. Order under someone capable of maintaining it. The patrol boat listed another degree. Holt ignored it. You have a vessel no one understands, a territory you cannot defend, and 12 civilians who will die when that fleet arrives. Lena stepped into view beside me. 11 civilians and 1 engineer. Holt looked at her. You were aboard the trawler. I was. Then you know what happens when untrained people command critical infrastructure. She glanced around Crosshaven. Broken docks. Flooded warehouses. Then she looked back at him. I also know what happens when trained people fire on civilians because they refuse an order. Holt's expression did not change, but something behind his eyes did. He had not expected her to say it. The timer reached 6 minutes. Victor Dane opened a second channel. His face appeared beside Holt's. Dane looked better than his ship. His silver hair remained combed. His white shirt was open at the throat. Only the trembling glass in his hand betrayed the violence he had survived. This conversation is unnecessary, he said. The harbor should be divided by contribution. I stared at him. What did you contribute? My vessel struck the Guardian twice, after waiting for Holt to absorb the first attack. I preserved my resources until the correct moment. You tried to kill my crew after I opened the route. Dane smiled. The recording proved Marcus suggested that. It did not quietly behind me. You said, and the survivors. Dane's smile faded. He had forgotten the exact words. I had not. Neither had Owen. Marcus's voice entered the public channel from somewhere inside the wreck field. You are all wasting time. His signal bounced between damaged towers, making his position difficult to isolate. The territory belongs to the strongest coalition. Ethan has no coalition. No military command. No heavy weapons. 12 people and a transforming boat do not make a nation. I looked toward the cargo wrecks. You sound nervous. I sound practical. You sound hidden. Black Crown moved between shadows. Its harpoon remained aimed at the territory platform. Marcus had positioned himself where Dane's gun could not fire without striking the wrecks around him. Always behind something. A person. A rule. A stronger ship. The claim timer reached 5 minutes and 30 seconds. The system displayed another warning. Territory heart vulnerable during claim. Direct damage may interrupt transfer. Marcus knew. His harpoon did not need to kill me. It only needed to strike the golden heart. Holt knew it too. His remaining deck gun rotated slightly. Victor Dane's yacht adjusted its angle. 3 weapons, 1 platform. I rested my hand on the memory bolt launcher. What do you want? Holt, a formal command structure. Under you. Under a council formed from surviving vessel captains. Which you expect to lead. I expect competence to lead. Dane laughed. You expect uniforms to lead. Holt looked at him with open disgust. And you expect money to survive the death of every bank. Dane raised his glass. Ownership survived before money existed, Marcus interrupted. Enough. Ethan transfers the territory heart. Holt controls defense, Dane controls trade. I control recruitment and information. I almost admired the confidence. He had assigned himself the only role that required no shipyard, no weapon, and no risk. He wanted control over people and truth. The 2 things he had always sold. Holt said, You are in no position to assign anything. Marcus answered immediately. I am the only person here with a functioning network reaching beyond this region. Owen looked at his receiver. He is exaggerating. How far can he transmit? Maybe 60 miles with current conditions. Less through the storm front, Marcus continued. I already have hundreds of survivors listening. They know who attacked first. They know who hoarded resources. They know who manipulated the Guardian. He was rewriting the night while it was still happening. That was his true weapon. Not the catamaran, not the harpoon. The story. If he controlled the story, frightened people would hand him power before seeing what he had done. I opened the public channel to every vessel within range. Marcus Vale abandoned 12 people on a disabled trawler. His reply came instantly. I refused a suicidal rescue. He offered to save one. I offered limited capacity. His catamaran held 14. Silence. Lena had counted the seats when Black Crown approached. Marcus recovered quickly. Capacity, you had food for 60 days. Owen stared at me. How do you know that? I saw his inventory screenshot before he deleted it. Marcus had posted it proudly in the first hour. Rows of packaged meals, medical supplies. A survival influencer showing his audience how prepared he was. He had forgotten that public lies left public evidence. Owen searched the stored messages. I have it. Broadcast it. The image appeared across the channel. Black Crown supply interface. Food capacity 64 days. Active. Medical storage. Full. Crew usage 1. Messages began appearing. He could have taken them. He said he had no room. There are 12 empty bunks, Marcus shouted. That image is out of context. Owen displayed the timestamp. Then the trawler's distress call. Then Marcus's offer, 1 survivor. The rest abandoned. The channel changed, not completely. Fear made people loyal to power, not truth, but doubt had entered. That was enough. The timer reached 4 minutes and 50 seconds. Marcus fired. The harpoon came from between 2 container wrecks. It flew low across the water, aimed not at me but at the territory heart behind my shoulder. I had expected it. Last Hope moved before my hands did. The living hull pivoted around the platform. The memory bolt launcher fired. Our projectile struck the harpoon in midair. Steel burst into fragments. Marcus's cable fell into the water. Black Crown accelerated from cover. Its twin engines roared. He was running for another angle. Victor Dane saw movement and fired. The yacht's cannon struck the wreck beside Black Crown. The impact threw containers into the sea. Marcus escaped through the gap. Dane, he shouted, you nearly hit me. That was the intention. The alliance was over. It had lasted less than an hour. Holt's voice came through. All vessels cease fire. Nobody obeyed. Sovereign Grace launched another shell. Black Crown turned behind a warehouse roof. The projectile hit a crane. The crane collapsed across the water. Its steel frame blocked Marcus's escape route. Last Hope's core pulsed. The fallen crane glowed. I looked at Lena. Can we use it? She examined the harbor map. The crane base is connected to the old power grid. Can it be restored? Not in 4 minutes. Can it move once? Her eyes narrowed. Maybe. That was enough. I opened the territory interface. Most systems remained locked until the claim completed. But one line flickered beneath the defense category. Emergency infrastructure activation. Cost, stored material value, available temporary functions, crane movement, floodgate closure, beacon ignition. I selected crane movement. The price appeared. Half our stored metal. I approved it. Last Hope's storage emptied. Blue lines raced from the vessel into the harbor. The fallen crane shuddered. Victor Dane's yacht stopped firing. Holt's crew stared. The crane's damaged arm rose from the water. Slowly, metal screamed. Its cable swung beneath it. Marcus saw it too late. The hook dropped behind Black Crown. I turned the crane. The cable swept across the catamaran's stern and wrapped around the left engine housing. Marcus accelerated. The crane held. Black Crown spun sideways. Its rear hull lifted. One engine tore loose. The catamaran slammed against the warehouse wall. Marcus disappeared from the channel. The ranking updated. Second place, Black Crown, mobility reduced. The crew on Last Hope cheered. I did not. Marcus was alive. Men like him survived because they expected other people to celebrate too early. The claim timer reached 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Holt's patrol boat moved closer, his gun lowered, not aimed. Ready. I can help you defend this place, he said. Why? Because the fleet is real. So is your cannon. I made a decision with incomplete information. You made a decision from a position of power. Yes. The answer surprised me. No excuse, no denial. And it was wrong. Dane stared from his channel window. Marcus remained silent. Holt said, I will not pretend I trusted you. I saw an unknown vessel evolving through stolen biological material, armed with a weapon capable of piercing naval armor. I believed control mattered more than consent. You still believe that? I believe survival requires command. So do I. That stopped him. I looked at the men working behind him. They were exhausted. Some were injured. One knelt beside a body covered with a wet canvas sheet. Holt had lost people fighting the creature I drew toward him. He had also continued fighting when retreat would have saved his own vessel. He was dangerous. But not because he was weak. Because he truly believed he should decide for everyone. That kind of enemy could become an ally. Or a tyrant, both. What remains of your crew? I asked. 31. Food? 4 days at reduced ration. Medical? Insufficient. Engine status? 40% power. No reverse thrust. Steering damaged. Lena murmured. He will not survive open water. Holt heard her. I know. The timer showed 3 minutes and 20 seconds. What are your terms? He asked. You enter Crosshaven unarmed. Dane laughed loudly. Holt ignored him. Impossible. I have civilians under naval protection. You have crew. I have 9 civilians recovered from wreckage. That mattered, children? 2. I looked at Daniel. He was already preparing the medical station. Lena watched me. No pressure. No plea. She understood command enough to leave the choice with me. Your wounded enter first, I said. Weapons remain secured aboard your patrol boat. Your vessel docks under Crosshaven control. You receive food, treatment, and repair assistance. And command? Mine. Holt's face hardened again. You expect trained naval personnel to answer to a civilian captain. I expect anyone using my harbor to answer to its laws. What laws? I have 3. I looked across the channel. At Holt, at Dane. At every vessel listening. No one takes another person's supplies by force. The first law belonged to the trawler. No one fires on a vessel that is not attacked. The second belonged to me. No one owns a person because they rescued them. The third belonged to everyone Marcus wanted to recruit. Holt considered them. Dane smiled as though they were childish. Marcus still said nothing. The timer reached 2 minutes and 40 seconds. Holt asked, what happens to anyone who breaks them? They lose protection. Nothing else? If they kill, they answer for killing. Who judges? I do until there are enough people to build something better. Holt almost smiled. So you do want command. I want responsibility attached to it. His expression changed. That sentence reached him. Maybe because he understood it. Maybe because it accused him. He looked behind him at the damaged deck. Then back at me. I accept temporary harbor authority. Is defeated. Then we revisit it. Agreed. The system chimed. Alliance request detected. Captain Adrian Holt offers tactical allegiance. Duration until conclusion of territory trial. Accept? I accepted. A blue line linked his vessel to the Crosshaven interface. Temporary defense unit acquired. Naval patrol vessel designation, Sentinel. Combat coordination unlocked. Holt's crew began securing their weapons. The patrol boat turned toward the western dock. Victor Dane's face lost its amusement. You are making a mistake, Holt answered him. I made one already. Dane's remaining gun aimed at Sentinel. You dock with him, and your vessel becomes collateral. Holt stepped closer to his camera. You target my wounded, and I will use the last functioning shell in my magazine to remove your bridge. The yacht's gun stopped moving. Not because Dane respected him. Because Holt meant it. The timer showed 2 minutes. Marcus reappeared. Black Crown emerged from the warehouse shadow, with one engine dragging in the water. Marcus stood at the bow. His expensive jacket was gone. Blood ran from his forehead. He held a handheld flare launcher in one hand. Not a weapon strong enough to damage Last Hope. Strong enough to ignite fuel. The harbor map showed the old fuel storage tanks behind the territory platform. Most were empty. One was not. The impact from the drowned admiral had cracked a pipeline beneath the pier. Diesel spread in a thin layer across the water. Lena saw it. Ethan Marcus raised the flare launcher. If I cannot own the harbor, no one will. He fired toward the fuel slick. I turned Last Hope. Too far, the memory bolt launcher rotated. Wrong angle. Holt's cannon began moving. Too slow. The flare crossed the water. Then a fishing spear struck it. The flare changed direction and fell harmlessly against the concrete wall. Everyone looked toward the warehouse roof. Owen stood there. He had climbed the crane access ladder while we argued. A coil of communications cable hung from his shoulder. His hand shook around a second spear. Lena's face went white. Owen, get down. Marcus aimed at him. I fired first. The memory bolt struck Black Crown's bow, not the hull. The flare launcher. The weapon shattered in Marcus's hand. He fell backward. The bolt continued through the catamaran's control console. Sparks erupted. Black Crown's remaining engine died. The vessel drifted. Owen climbed down as fast as his legs could carry him. When he reached the deck, Lena grabbed his jacket and pulled him close enough to strike him. She did not. She held him for 1 second, then shoved him toward Daniel. You ever climb into a firing line again, I will throw you into storage. Owen grinned weakly. I saved the harbor. You nearly became part of it. The timer reached 1 minute. The golden light around the territory heart intensified. Crosshaven systems began waking one by one. Dock pumps, navigation lights, warehouse locks, water filtration sensors. A low alarm sounded from the western sea. Not the system, an old harbor siren. The hostile fleet had entered detection range. 47 signals appeared beyond the breakwater. Small craft in front, larger ships behind. A converted cargo vessel at the center. Its hull was painted red. Tall wooden towers had been constructed across its deck. Fires burned inside metal cages. Dozens of smaller vessels moved around it in formation, not survivors traveling together. A war fleet. The system identified discovered. Faction name, Red Current. Faction leader, Captain Silas Rook. Territory trial begins in 71 hours, 59 minutes. The fleet did not wait. Its forward boats launched immediately. 6 fast raiders crossed the boundary. Holt stared at the map. They arrived early. The trial starts in 3 days, Thomas said. The attack does not, I answered. The raiders were testing us. Measuring weapons, counting defenders, searching for openings. The claim timer reached 30 seconds. Victor Dane's yacht began reversing. He wanted to leave before Crosshaven became mine. The eastern passage was still open. I activated the emergency infrastructure interface. One floodgate remained functional beneath the water. Its activation cost exceeded our remaining material value, but the drowned admiral's chain and armor still floated around the platform, unclaimed. I ordered Last Hope to devour it. Blue light spread across the wreckage. Material value surged. I activated the floodgate. Concrete walls rose from beneath the eastern channel. Sovereign grace stopped between them. Dane's voice exploded across the channel. Open that passage. You tried to kill us. You have no authority to detain me. The claim timer reached 10 seconds. I do now. Golden light erupted from the territory heart. It spread through the harbor floor. Crane. The system spoke across the region. Claim completed. Crosshaven territory secured. Territory Lord authority activated. Defensive control transferred to Ethan Cross. Harbor access restricted. Hostile vessels identified. Red markers appeared over Sovereign Grace. Black Crown. The 6 approaching raiders. Sentinel glowed blue. Last Hope glowed gold. I opened the territory defense interface. Most weapons remained damaged. One tower still functioned. It stood on the western breakwater, half covered in barnacles, carrying an old rotary cannon with limited ammunition. Defense tower active. Ammunition, 84 rounds. Target selection required. Marcus Black Crown drifted helplessly near the warehouse. Victor Dane's yacht remained trapped at the floodgate. The Red Current raiders accelerated toward the entrance. 3 threats. 84 rounds. Holt opened a tactical channel. The raiders are the priority, Dane shouted. Release me and I will assist. Marcus returned to the channel, breathing hard. I have information on Rook. I know his fleet structure. Everyone had something to offer once the gun pointed in their direction. I aimed the defense tower at the lead Red Current raider. Dane, power down your weapon, and if I refuse, you become 85 rounds worth of regret. He looked toward the tower, his gun lowered. Marcus, abandon Black Crown. No, you need my network. I need truth more. The first raider crossed into Crosshaven. Men stood along its sides wearing red scarves and holding crossbows made from steel tubing. A welded ram covered the bow. The tower fired. The first burst tore through the ram. The second struck the engine. The raider spun sideways. The vessel behind it collided with the stern. Men fell into the water. The remaining 4 split apart. Holt's sentinel fired its last shell. The projectile struck the third raider and broke it in half. Last Hope accelerated from the platform. The memory bolt launcher fired twice. One bolt destroyed a steering column. The other pierced an engine block. The 5th raider turned away. The 6th reached the outer dock. Red Current fighters jumped from its deck and ran toward the warehouse district. Maria gripped her cleaver. Thomas lifted a boat hook. Lena moved toward the engineering station. I opened the crew interface. Combat stations available. Territory defense bonus active. I assigned Thomas to navigation. Lena to engineering. Owen to communications. Daniel to medical. Maria to supply command. The remaining crew took deck positions. The system gave them no magic weapons. No impossible strength, only clear information, distances, angles, threat markers, escape routes. Sometimes that was enough. Last Hope struck the raider broadside. Our reinforced bow climbed over its low deck. The impact threw fighters into the water. I jumped down among them. The first man swung a short axe. I moved inside the arc and struck his throat with the wooden grip of the memory launcher control I had detached from its mount. He dropped. The second raised a crossbow. Thomas's boat hook caught his wrist and dragged him sideways. Maria hit him across the face with the flat of her cleaver. Lena did not leave the vessel. She used the lifting frame. The abyss anchor swung over the raider and crashed onto its engine housing. Metal folded. The vessel died beneath our feet. The surviving attackers looked toward the harbor entrance. Their retreat route had closed. The defense tower tracked them. They dropped their weapons. One man with a red scarf spat at my boots. Rook will skin you alive. I looked toward the fleet outside the breakwater. Silas Rook's cargo vessel had stopped beyond our firing range. A figure stood on its highest tower. Long coat, broad hat, one hand resting on a curved blade. Even from that distance, I felt him watching. A message appeared on the public channel, wooden plank. That was all he wrote. He knew who I was. Marcus's story had traveled faster than my ship. A second message followed. You built quickly, then a third. I take what grows. The Red Current fleet began withdrawing, not defeated. Satisfied, they had learned the harbor's range, seen Sentinel's damage, counted our ammunition, measured Last Hope's speed. The trial would begin in less than 3 days. Now they knew exactly what they intended to destroy. The system updated. First assault repelled. Territory reputation increased. New survivors requesting entry, 63. Available safe housing, 12. Food reserves insufficient. Freshwater system damaged. Outer wall integrity, 21%. Defense ammunition, 43 rounds. Enemy fleet strength estimate overwhelming. Crosshaven belonged to me. For the first time, that felt heavier than the ocean. Holt docked Sentinel. His wounded came ashore. Daniel ran to meet them. Dane remained trapped at the floodgate. Marcus remained aboard his dead catamaran. 63 survivors waited outside. 47 hostile vessels waited beyond them. Lena stood beside me on the ruined dock. What comes first? I looked at the warehouses, the flooded workshops, the broken cranes, and the people arriving with nothing but fear. Water? Then? Food? Then? I watched Silas Rook's fleet disappear into the dark horizon. Then we build enough guns to make 47 ships regret learning our name. Behind us, the territory heart pulsed. A new blueprint opened. Available construction, freshwater plant. Required materials, filtration membrane, copper power core. Possible source detected. The map highlighted Sovereign Grace, its luxury filtration system, its electrical reserves, its reinforced piping. Victor Dane saw the same highlight appear across his vessel. His face drained of color. I turned toward the trapped yacht. Now we negotiate. Victor Dane stood behind the armored glass of Sovereign Grace, while the harbor marked his ship as a resource. Luxury filtration system, electrical reserves, reinforced piping, medical refrigeration, backup desalination membranes. Everything Crosshaven needed sat inside the yacht of a man who had tried to kill us twice. Dane understood the balance before I spoke. His remaining guns stayed lowered. His crew gathered along the upper deck, watching the defense tower on the breakwater and Sentinel's damaged cannon. Some wore tailored uniforms. Others carried compact rifles. None looked eager to test whether I would fire. I opened a private channel. Your filtration system? No. Your copper wiring? No. Your reserve batteries? No. I looked past him toward the sealed floodgate. Then enjoy the harbor. His expression tightened. You cannot keep me here indefinitely. I only need to keep you here until Silas Rook arrives. Dane glanced toward the western horizon. The threat worked because it was true. Red Current would not treat Sovereign Grace as a neutral yacht. They would see armored glass, weapons, fuel, food, and a wealthy captain with no territory. A prize. You need my ship, he said. I need parts of it. My vessel is worth more intact to you, to Crosshaven. I let the silence stretch. Men like Dane filled silence with calculations. He had built an empire by deciding what everything was worth before the other person understood the sale had begun. Now the harbor had assigned a value to him. The difference was visible in his face. What are you offering? He asked. Docking rights. Temporary. Until the fleet attack ends. Fuel access. No, food exchange. At market rates. What market? The one I am about to build. He gave a thin smile. You have 60 hungry refugees outside your wall in less than 3 days before a fleet attacks. You do not have a market. I have the only harbor. The smile vanished. I continued. You transfer the filtration membranes, reserve copper, half your battery bank, and the backup piping. In return, Sovereign Grace docks under protection. Your wounded receive treatment. Your people receive water when the plan is active. Command status? No. Trade authority? No. A permanent berth? No. What do I receive that I do not already have? Tomorrow. He stared at me. Behind him, one of his crew lowered his rifle. Another looked toward the horizon. Dane saw them. That mattered more than anything I said. A captain could survive without trust for a while, not without obedience. You enjoy this, he said. No. You expect me to believe that? I enjoy building. I tolerate negotiating. With a cannon aimed at my bridge. You aimed one at mine first. He exhaled slowly. Half the copper is excessive. 3/4. You said half. You wasted time. His eyes sharpened. That is not negotiation. It is scarcity. He knew the word. He had used it against others for decades. Now it belonged to me. Half the copper, he said. 1 filtration membrane. 1/3 of the battery bank. All damaged piping. None of the intact reserve. Half the batteries. All copper designated non-essential by Lena. Your engineer decides what is non-essential aboard my ship? Yes. No. I started closing the channel. Wait. I stopped. He looked away for 1 second. When he faced me again, his voice had changed. Less survivor. 2 membranes. 40% of the reserve batteries. Half the copper after joint inspection. Damaged piping only. All medical refrigeration remains yours. His eyes flickered. He had expected me to demand it. Why? And because medicine spoils. And because you need my doctors, if you have doctors. 2. Then they work with Daniel under my authority. Under medical authority. Dane almost argued. Then one of his wounded cried out behind him. Agreed. The system chimed. Resource treaty proposed. Harbor protection. Medical access. Future water allocation. Captain Victor Dane contribution. Filtration membranes. Battery reserves. Copper stock. Damaged piping. Penalty for breach. Loss of territory protection. Confirm? I confirmed. Dane did the same. The red marker above Sovereign Grace changed to yellow. Conditional neutral vessel recognized. The floodgate lowered. Sovereign Grace entered Crosshaven slowly. Its hull passed between the concrete walls with less than 10 feet of clearance on each side. Dane stood at the bow. He did not look at me. He looked at the defense tower. The men who built their lives around power always watched the weapon first. Lena boarded his yacht with 2 mechanics and a system inventory. Dane insisted on accompanying them. I let him. He would learn faster by watching his ship become a city's first water plant. I turned toward Black Crown. Marcus's catamaran drifted near the warehouse district with 1 engine missing and the other dead. The console had been destroyed by the memory bolt. Water entered through a crack along the stern. Marcus stood alone on the deck. No crew. No allies. No functioning network. Still he smiled when I approached. You came to negotiate. No, his smile remained, but effort entered it. Everyone negotiates. I came to give you a choice. There, that is negotiation. I stopped Last Hope 20 feet away. You abandon Black Crown and enter Crosshaven unarmed. Under what status? Prisoner. He laughed too loudly. You cannot imprison me for refusing a rescue. No, for firing at the territory of the harbor. I tried to prevent one unstable man from controlling it. You fired the flare. There was no proof the fuel would flow ignite. Owen watched, a frightened boy. Owen saved 63 people from losing their only shelter. Marcus's eyes moved toward the warehouse roof. He found Owen standing beside the communications mast. The hatred in his face lasted less than a second. Then the public smile returned. You are making a mistake, Ethan. You need me. I do not. You do not understand influence. I understand it well enough to know you confuse attention with loyalty. His jaw tightened. You think broadcasting one recording destroyed me? No, it strengthened me. No, people are afraid of you now. They saw the ship evolve. They saw the harbor obey you. They heard you threaten captains and trap vessels. I only need to tell them what they already suspect, that I am dangerous, that you will become worse than Rook. I leaned against the control ridge. You may be right, that stopped him. He expected denial. A righteous speech, something soft enough to cut apart. I gave him nothing. I said, so is Holt. So is Dane. So are you? The difference is what we do when someone weaker asks for help. Marcus's smile vanished completely. I offered one place. You had room for all 12. I did not owe them anything, no. I looked at the sinking stern beneath his feet. And no one owes you a ship. Water reached the lower enlisted. Marcus glanced down. Prisoner status is unacceptable. Then stay aboard. You would let me drown? You told the trawler crew the first rule of the ocean was that weak vessels become resources. The words hit him. Not because they were cruel, because they were his. Owen opened the public channel. The recording played across Crosshaven. Marcus's voice from the beginning of the night. Do not waste fuel helping them. The first rule of the ocean is that weak vessels become resources. His own sentence returned from every working speaker in the harbor. Workers on Sentinel stopped. Dane's crew looked over the rails. The refugees outside the breakwater heard it through their radios. Marcus's face drained. I continued. Black Crown is weak. The catamaran groaned. The stern sank another inch. Marcus looked around for a path that did not exist. The nearest dock was too far to swim safely, with predators still moving beyond the harbor defenses. His emergency raft had been torn away by the crane. His remaining supplies were trapped below deck. He had spent the entire night positioning other people between himself and danger. Now there was no one left. He lowered his voice. Ethan, I waited. We knew each other before this. You bought my father's shipyard. I bought land from a bank. You demolished it for a marina. It was business. You stood inside his workshop and called it obsolete. It was. I felt the broken knife handle inside the launcher grip beneath my hand. The memory of cedar dust returned. My father measuring a damaged hull. My father showing me how wood bent before it broke. My father watching the shipyard gates close for the last time. Marcus had forgotten the scene. I had not. Get aboard, I said. Under what status, prisoner? You will regret humiliating me. I am not humiliating you. I looked at Black Crown sinking around his shoes. You did that yourself. For several seconds, he did not move. Then water burst through the rear deck. The catamaran tilted violently. Marcus grabbed the rail. The choice became physical. He jumped. Thomas threw him a line. Marcus caught it and was dragged toward Last Hope. When he reached the deck, Maria searched him and removed a folding knife, a flare cartridge, 2 communication devices, and a waterproof drive. Owen stared at the drive. Marcus saw him. That contains nothing useful. Owen smiled. Then you will not mind if I check. Marcus lunged. Thomas struck him behind the knee with the boat hook. He hit the deck. Maria placed one boot between his shoulders. Move again, she said, and I test whether this cleaver works on influencers. Marcus stopped. The system marked Black Crown. Abandoned vessel detected. Captain authority severed. Vessel core available. The catamaran's hull began glowing. Marcus twisted beneath Maria's boot. No. I looked at him. You abandoned it. I was forced. You chose survival. That ship is mine. It was. I ordered Last Hope to devour. Blue light spread across Black Crown. The twin hulls collapsed into streams of material. Saltwater tanks. Composite armor. Navigation equipment. Furniture. Food storage. The broken engine. The intact vessel core rose from the sinking deck like a black pearl. It floated toward Last Hope. Marcus watched his entire advantage disappear into the ship he had mocked. His face changed with every absorbed piece. Disbelief. Panic. Then something worse. Understanding. He finally saw the distance between us. Not the distance between a catamaran and a plank. The distance between a man who received power and a man who could build it. The vessel core entered Last Hope. The deck pulsed. Second vessel core acquired. Evoluprint requirement, 2 of 3 cores. New blueprint unlocked, signal mast. Solar membrane array. New function, social network archive. Owen opened the recovered drive. Thousands of files appeared. Private messages. Deals, recruitment lists, supply locations. Coordinates, voice recordings. Marcus had documented everyone. He collected secrets the way other survivors collected food. Owen's expression hardened. He has lists of vulnerable ships. Marcus said nothing. Names, vessel types, crew sizes, food reserves, Owen continued. He marked some as recruits and some as harvest targets. Holt stepped onto the dock beside us. His wounded had been transferred to Daniel's care. His uniform remained torn, but he carried himself as if standing on a clean naval deck. Harvest targets? Owen turned the display. Marcus had assigned symbols to dozens of vessels. Green for useful, blue for influential, red for easy to seize. Several entries included instructions. Spread engine failure rumor. Offer protection. Separate captain from crew. Control communications. Holt looked at Marcus. Marcus pushed himself upright. I built intelligence. You marked civilians for seizure. I marked resources. Holt's face went still. Marcus realized his mistake too late. Resources. The same Holt looked at me. What do your laws say about attempted piracy? They are not written yet. They should be. They will be. Marcus laughed bitterly. You are proving everything I said. A military officer asking a self-appointed lord to invent crimes after the fact. Holt turned toward him. You targeted unarmed ships. I observed them. You instructed others to isolate their captains. Contingency planning. You tried to burn this harbor. Strategic denial. Every act became clean when he renamed it. I understood why people had followed him before the world changed. He could wash blood with language. I looked at Maria. Take him to the customs holding cells. Marcus stared at me. You are putting me in a cage for now. You need my information. I have it. You need me to interpret it. Owen will. He is a child. Owen's voice came from behind him. I found your hidden channel in 11 minutes. Marcus turned. Owen continued. You used the same encryption seed as your old subscriber platform. For the first time, Marcus had no answer. Maria led him away. The customs building still had 6 intact holding rooms above the waterline. Their locks were mechanical. Their windows faced the inner harbor. Marcus would be able to watch Crosshaven grow without him. That was more useful than throwing him into the sea. The 63 survivors waited outside the breakwater. Some floated in rafts made from doors and foam. Others occupied small sailboats, fishing craft, inflatable rescue boats, and one half-submerged school bus mounted on sealed barrels. Crosshaven's housing capacity remained 12. Our current population had already exceeded it. Sentinel carried 40 people, including Holt's crew and rescued civilians. Sovereign Grace carried 27. My original crew numbered 12. With the waiting survivors, we would have more than 140 people, and nowhere safe to sleep. The system did not care. It displayed requirements: repair shelters, restore water, build defenses. Everything required material. Everything required labor. Everything required time we did not have. I opened the territory channel. Crosshaven will admit all peaceful vessels. Holt looked at me. Dane stopped on Sovereign Grace's gangway. Lena turned from the yacht's open maintenance panel. I continued. Entry requires inspection. Weapons remain registered. Food and medicine stay with their owners unless traded. Anyone who works receives water and shelter priority. Anyone who refuses work receives basic protection, but messages appeared instantly. What kind of work? Can families stay together? Do you take our boats? Is there an entry fee? What about injured people? I answered in order. Repairs, construction, fishing, cooking, medical care, sanitation, inventory, and anything else useful. Families stay together. Your vessel remains yours unless abandoned or traded. No entry fee. Injured people enter first. The channel became silent. Then one voice asked, "What if we have nothing?" I looked at the ruined harbor. "You have hands." The first boats entered. Holt organized inspection teams without being asked. That was useful. Dane objected. "You are admitting liabilities. They are population. Population consumes resources. Population creates them. Only if disciplined. They will be." "By whom?" I looked at him. Dane understood before I answered. He returned to his yacht, not defeated, thinking he saw Crosshaven as an investment now. That made him more dangerous than when he saw it as a target. By midday, the harbor had changed. The empty customs terminal became a medical station. A warehouse roof was patched with sailcloth and composite panels from Black Crown. Sovereign Grace's filtration membranes were installed inside the old freshwater plant. Lena led the work while Dane's engineers argued with her over every connection. She ignored titles. When one of Dane's men insisted a marine-grade pump could not interface with the territory energy line, she disconnected his bypass, rebuilt the coupling, and started the machine in front of him. Water moved through the pipe, dirty at first, then clear. The first clean stream poured into a steel basin. No one cheered. The people waiting nearby simply stared. A woman holding a little girl began crying without sound. The system announced. Freshwater plant restored. Output: 8,000 gallons per day. Disease risk reduced. Construction unlocked. Communal kitchen. Black Crown's food stores supplied the first meal. Rice, canned beef, dried vegetables, hot broth, nothing luxurious. But it was warm. People sat on overturned crates and broken pallets while Maria's kitchen team filled bowls. Marcus had collected enough food to control desperate survivors. Now it fed them without his name attached. I took my bowl last. Thomas sat beside me on the dock. He ate slowly, watching the harbor. "You have too many food, I know. Not enough beds, I know. Not enough weapons, I know." He drank the broth. "Good harbor." I looked at him. "That is your conclusion?" "A bad harbor would have all those problems and nowhere to solve them." He pointed with his spoon. "Fish processing warehouse, dry dock, cold storeyard, fuel depot." "You did not claim a ruin." "What did I claim?" "A machine someone forgot how to turn on." That was why I had made him navigator. He saw direction inside chaos. The territory map showed 3 urgent objectives: restore cold storage, repair outer wall, acquire food. The first 2 required materials. The third required the ocean. Thomas opened a local depth chart recovered from the harbor system. "There is a trench 12 miles south. Fish? Before the world changed? Yes. And now?" He pointed to several red markers moving through it. "Now the fish may eat us." The system offered a regional resource mission. Resource zone detected: Blackwater Trench. Primary resource: deep-sea protein. Secondary resource: biological materials. Guardian presence confirmed. Recommended vessel grade: coastal combat ship. Last hope remained a tidebreaker cutter. Below recommendation. We had less than 3 days. Waiting for safety would become another form of dying. I stood. "Prepare a fishing team." Thomas smiled. "I was hoping you would say that." Lena heard us through the crew channel. "No. We need food. We need Last Hope intact. We need the bows repaired, but the core integration created stress along the water jet chambers. The living material is compensating, but I do not know for how long. How long to reinforce it? 6 hours, with enough steels. We do not have enough steel. There is steels all over the harbor. Assign to the wall. Then choose whether you want a ship or a wall." I looked toward the western sea. Rook's fleet remained beyond visual range, but Owen tracked their communications. They were gathering, recruiting, threatening nearby vessels, cutting off trade routes before Crosshaven had trade. A wall without food became a tomb. A ship without a wall became a refugee. I needed another answer. The territory interface highlighted the drowned dry dock. Inside it sat the remains of an old coastal tug. Its hull was intact, its engine was ruined. No vessel core, material value high. Possible project territory workboat. Required material, coastal tug hull. Required power, 1 temporary core link. Required crew, engineer, navigator, 5 laborers. Construction time, 18 hours. A second ship. Not evolved, built. Lena joined me on the dock and read the interface. You can reconstruct it without absorbing it into Last Hope. Yes. Her eyes moved across the specifications. Slow armored, high towing power. Large storage, good for fishing. Good for moving wall sections, good for both. She looked at me. Temporary core link means Last Hope powers it. Can we handle that? Maybe. You say that often. You ask impossible questions often. She studied the tug. If the link fails, the workboat dies. Then do not let it fail. That is not engineering. It worked before. She gave me a tired look. Then the corner of her mouth moved. 18 of 12. I said 18. I heard you. You are becoming unpleasant. Marcus said I would. That earned a real laugh. Short. Unexpected. Then the harbor alarm sounded. Owen's voice came through every crew channel. Unknown vessel approaching from the south. I opened the map. Once large. Moving slowly, no faction marker, no system classification. The vessel entered visual range 30 minutes later. It was an oil tanker, or had been. The hull towered above the waves, rusted and scarred. Sheets of metal had been welded over broken sections. Hundreds of lights hung from the rails. Smoke rose from crude chimneys along the deck. People covered every visible surface. Hundreds. Maybe more than 1,000. The tanker moved under improvised sails and 2 functioning engines. A white flag flew from the highest mast. The regional channel opened. A woman's voice spoke. This is Captain Evelyn Shaw of the vessel Mercy. The system identified the ship. Refugee arc detected. Population. Food reserves. Less than 1 day. Water reserves critical. Disease outbreak suspected. Pursuing threat detected. A red cluster appeared behind the tanker. 20 vessels. Red current. Captain Shaw continued. We request emergency entry. Holt came to the dock. Dane left Sovereign Grace's bridge. Lena stopped work on the tug. Every person in Crosshaven looked toward Mercy. 1,186 people. We had shelter for less than 100. Food for 2 days. Water for perhaps a fraction of them. The system issued a territory crisis. Mass refugee event. Admit Mercy and accept full territorial responsibility? Warning. Admission will increase population beyond current sustainable capacity. Warning. Refusal may result in mass casualty. Victor Dane spoke first. We cannot take them. Holt looked at him. He is right. Dane seemed surprised. Holt continued. Not morally. Logistically. Captain Shaw's voice came again. Red Current demanded 300 workers, all fuel, and every child under 12 as hostages. Silence spread across the harbor. Dane looked away. Holt's hands closed into fists. Lena stared at the approaching tanker. I thought of the trawler. 12 people. Marcus had room. He chose one. Now I had a harbor. I had water walls. Ships. Not enough for everyone, but enough to make a choice. The same choice, only larger. Silas Rook entered the channel. His voice was deep and amused. Wooden plank. The name traveled across every speaker. I told you I'd take what grows. His fleet appeared behind Mercy. Burning towers. Armed decks. He continued. Send the Ark back to me. Keep your harbor. Refuse and I burn both. The territory trial timer showed 2 days 9 hours. He was not waiting. Neither could I. I opened Crosshaven's gates. Mercy, enter. Dane grabbed my arm. You will collapse the territory. I removed his hand. Then we rebuild it. You are declaring war. No. I watched the refugee ark cross the breakwater. Rook declared it when he priced children. The system accepted my decision. Mass refugee event admitted. Territory population increased. Emergency construction unlocked. Collective labor system unlocked. New condition achieved. Population above 1,000. Hidden territory evolution path detected. The golden heart beneath Crosshaven pulsed. Across the harbor, warehouse doors opened. Flooded foundations rose. The old rail line beneath the water began glowing. A massive blueprint unfolded over the territory. Not a harbor. A city. Evolution path available. Oceanic stronghold. Requirement 1. Population above 1,000. Incomplete. Requirement 3. Establish food independence. Incomplete. Requirement 4. Construct 3 territory vessels. Incomplete. Final reward. Sovereign ocean domain. Silas Rook's fleet accelerated. Last Hope's memory launcher rotated toward the entrance. Mercy crossed inside, carrying more than 1,000 starving people. Crosshaven's gates closed behind them. I opened every territory channel. Everyone who can stand, listen. The harbor became silent. We have food for less than 2 days. We have walls that will not survive a full assault. We have one combat vessel, one damaged patrol boat, one trapped yacht, and a workboat that does not exist yet. People stared from the docks, decks, roofs, and windows of Mercy, I continued. Red Current believes that makes us weak. Beyond the breakwater, Rook's ships formed a line. They are wrong. I looked at the ruined cranes, the flooded workshops, the empty warehouses, the tanker carrying mechanics, farmers, cooks, teachers, welders, electricians, sailors, and children. We do not have a fleet. The territory heart brightened, so we build one. The first hammer struck steel before Silas Rook's fleet reached the breakwater. Then another answered it. Then 100. Crosshaven became noise. Welders from Mercy climbed into the flooded shipyard, with cutting torches and cables wrapped around their shoulders. Electricians opened dead control boxes and traced corroded lines through walls that had not carried power in years. Fishermen sorted nets. Cooks inventoried every grain of rice, every can of beans, every strip of dried meat. Children carried bolts and buckets. Old men stripped copper from ruined offices. People who had arrived expecting shelter discovered that shelter had to be built beneath their own feet. The territory's collective labor system spread pale blue symbols over the harbor map. Available workers, 843. Skilled laborers identified, 312. Emergency efficiency bonus activated. Construction time reduced. The coastal tug in the dry dock began changing. Lena stood on its deck with both hands pressed against a temporary core conduit linked to Last Hope. Golden lines spread through the tug's corroded hull. Rust peeled away. Broken plates straightened. The ruined engine compartment emptied itself, then rebuilt around thick territory power cables. The old vessel had no elegance. It was broad, heavy, and ugly. Perfect. Territory vessel reconstruction complete, the system announced. Vessel designated Iron Hand. Class, armored work tug. Primary function, towing and salvage. Secondary function, mobile barrier. Crew capacity 40. Territory vessel requirement. Thomas took command before the final light faded. He stood behind Iron Hand's rebuilt controls with gray beard blowing in the wind and looked younger than he had on the trawler. I always wanted a tug, he said. You spent 40 years on fishing boats. That is why I wanted a tug. He drove Iron Hand out of the dry dock. Its reinforced bow pushed a half-submerged barge across the harbor as if moving furniture. The second territory vessel came from Mercy. Captain Evelyn Shaw offered 2 of the tanker's largest lifeboats, 3 damaged deck launches, and a cargo crane. We need Mercy intact, she said. But those boats will not carry 1,200 people through open water. They can become something that will. The system merged them inside the eastern repair bay. Fiberglass shells became layered armor, their engines combined. Mercy's crane turned into a folding mast with cargo arms. The finished vessel was shorter than Last Hope but wider, with a shallow draft and an open central deck. Vessel designated breadbasket. Primary function to cargo transport. Secondary function net deployment. Crew capacity 60. Territory vessel requirement 2 of 3 complete. Captain Shaw placed a woman named Ruth Bell in command. Ruth had run a commercial seafood company before the ocean swallowed the coast. She understood cold storage, supply chains, and how quickly hungry people became dangerous. Breadbasket carried every usable net we possessed toward the Blackwater Trench. Last Hope went with it. The attack on Crosshaven was coming. So was starvation. I could not choose only one. Holt remained behind with Sentinel, the defense tower, and every rifle we had registered. Dane assigned his security team to the eastern wall, after I reminded him that Red Current would not distinguish between his yacht and my harbor. He called it temporary cooperation. I called it fear performing useful labor. The Blackwater Trench lay beneath a sky the color of iron. Sonar showed movement from the moment we arrived. Thousands of bodies turned below us. Not one enormous guardian, a school. Deep-sea fish with armored heads and long translucent fins moved around a central shape that did not appear clearly on the display. Ruth studied the net controls. If we drop everything at once, they tear through it. Thomas's voice came from Iron Hand behind us. Then we do not ask them to enter politely. We baited the trench with organic fuel and scavenger remains stored inside Last Hope. The water boiled. Armored fish rose in a silver-black mass. Breadbasket deployed the first net. The school changed direction together and sliced through it with the fins along their backs. Ruth did not curse. She smiled. Now I know how they cut. The second net was woven with steel cable. The fish hit it. Some cut through. Iron Hand moved. Thomas hooked the net with the tug's towing arm and dragged it across the surface. Hundreds of fish struck the armored deck, thrashing hard enough to dent steel. Then the central shadow rose. A mouth opened beneath the school. The creature swallowed fish, net, and half of breadbasket's trailing line. Its head emerged. It looked like an eel built from shipwrecks. Anchor chains grew through its flesh. Broken propellers rotated along its spine. Its eyes were navigation lamps, glowing. Red Trench Guardian detected. Title: The Hull Eater. Threat level: extreme. The creature turned toward Iron Hand. Thomas pulled the tug directly across its path. "Do not let it bite you," Lena said through the channel. Excellent engineering advice. The Hull Eater lunged. Iron Hand dropped the captured net. Hundreds of armored fish spilled between the tug and the Guardian. The creature opened its mouth wider. It swallowed them. Thomas reversed. The Guardian's jaw closed 1 yard from Iron Hand's stern. I drove Last Hope along its flank. The memory launcher fired compressed armor bolts into the rotating propellers along its spine. One shattered. Then another. Black fluid burst across the water. The Hull Eater twisted. Its tail struck Last Hope. The impact threw me against the control ridge. Durability alarm screamed. Breadbasket circled behind it. Ruth released the remaining steel nets over the damaged propellers. The lines tangled around the exposed shafts. "Thomas!" she shouted. "I see it." Iron Hand's towing hook caught the net. The tug accelerated. The cables tightened. The Guardian's own rotating machinery dragged the steel deeper into its body. It thrashed. The trench became white water. Last Hope's bow launcher rebuilt around my father's wooden grip. The craftsman's hand trait activated. For one heartbeat, lines appeared across the creature. Weak joints, stress points. The places where metal and flesh had been forced together badly. My father had taught me that no repair was stronger than its worst connection. I aimed at the largest one. The memory bolt entered beneath the Guardian's jaw. It passed through 3 anchor chains and struck the core behind its throat. The red navigation eyes went dark. The Hull Eater sank, then stopped. Blue light spread through its body. Trench Guardian defeated. Regional food resource secured. Biological harvest rights awarded to Crosshaven. The armored school scattered. Breadbasket's nets closed. By the time we returned, its deck held enough fish to feed Crosshaven for weeks. The dead Guardian followed behind Iron Hand, towed by chains. Every person in the harbor watched it enter. The fear on their faces changed when they saw the nets. Food did that. Promises became real when people could smell them cooking. The Hull Eater became our third territory vessel, not whole. Its flesh was absorbed into Last Hope, but the wreckage fused through its body remained. Lena, Thomas, and 200 workers rebuilt that metal around the Guardian's recovered core. By sunset, a low-armored ship rested in the western dock. Its bow resembled an open jaw. Rotating salvage blades lined both. Vessel designated Breaker, class, armored defense barge. Primary function, close-range interception. Secondary function, wreckage processing. Territory vessel requirement, 3 of 3 complete. The hidden evolution path updated. Population above 1,000 complete. Food independence complete. Territory vessels complete. Defeat hostile fleet incomplete. Silas Rook arrived at dawn. All 47 vessels appeared across the horizon in a red line. His converted cargo ship sailed at the center. Red Fortress. The towers on its deck burned even under daylight. Chains hung along its hull. Smaller boats carried rams, boarding ladders, and cages. The cages were not empty. Prisoners stood inside them. Rook opened the public channel. His face appeared for the first time. He was older than I expected. Late 40s, dark beard cut close, one eye covered by a metal plate. A red coat hung from his shoulders. The curved blade at his hip had a gold handle. He looked less like a mad pirate than a man who had spent his entire life waiting for the law to disappear. I stood on Last Hope's upper platform. "Captain Rook, you fed the Ark. Yes, you armed the harbor. Yes, you took Marcus Vale, yes." Rook smiled. "He offered me your gate codes." Marcus had been in a mechanical cell with no access to the territory system, but he had access to people, guards, workers, anyone willing to listen. I looked toward the customs building. The alarm began before I spoke. One of the holding room doors had opened. Owen's voice entered my channel. "Marcus is gone." A second alarm sounded from the freshwater plant. Then the Western Defense Tower shut down. Rook's smile widened. The genuine setback arrived all at once. Marcus had not escaped to flee. He had escaped to sabotage. The freshwater pumps stopped. The defense tower lost power. The western floodgate opened. Red Current's fastest raiders accelerated toward the gap. Holt shouted through the tactical channel. "Tower is offline. We have movement inside the power tunnels." Dane's voice followed. "My battery lines are being drained." Marcus appeared on an old maintenance platform above the territory heart. He held Owen's waterproof drive in one hand and a control device in the other. A cable ran from it into the harbor grid. You built everything on one system, he said, across the public channel. That makes it easy to control. Lena stared at the engineering display. He is redirecting territory power to the gate. Can you stop him? Not without shutting down Last Hope's core link. That link powered Iron Hand, breadbasket, breaker. Half the harbor. If she severed it, our new fleet died. If she did not, Marcus would burn the system from inside. Rook raised one hand. 47 ships advanced. The western gate remained open. The first raiders entered. Sentinel fired. Its repaired cannon destroyed one, but 4 passed the breakwater. Breaker moved to intercept. Then its core link flickered. The defense barge slowed. Iron Hand lost steering. Breadbasket's net launchers died. People screamed from the docks. Marcus laughed. You should have drowned me. I looked at the territory heart beneath him. At the cable. At Last Hope's interface. He was right about one thing. I had built everything through one system. But he had misunderstood what the system was connected to. Not the harbor, me. Lena, I said, sever the core link. Her eyes snapped toward me. We lose every territory vessel. For how long, I do not know. Do it. She pulled the emergency release. Golden lines vanished across Crosshaven. Iron Hand stopped. Breadbasket drifted. Breaker went dark. The freshwater plant died completely. Lights went out inside Mercy. Marcus looked at his device. The screen in his hand went blank. His smile froze. What did you do? I disconnected you. Rook's raiders poured through the gate. He shouted for full attack. The Red Current fleet accelerated. Then one engine started inside Crosshaven. Not a territory engine, a mechanical one. Iron Hand's old rebuilt diesel system turned over. Thomas had restored it secretly. The tug moved slowly. Independently. Started. Breadbasket's combined lifeboat motors. Then Breaker's salvage blades began rotating under stored hydraulic pressure. Lena smiled through blood and exhaustion. You told me to learn the vessel again. She had. She had rebuilt every territory ship with a manual backup. The golden core link had made them stronger. It had never been their only life. Marcus stared at the fleet moving without his stolen power. For the first time, his talent for controlling stories could not rename what had happened. He had failed. I turned Last Hope toward the maintenance platform. He raised the control device like a shield. Ethan, listen to me. I fired. The memory bolt struck the cable beside his hand. The blast threw him across the platform. The device fell into the territory heart and dissolved. Marcus crawled toward the edge. Wait, I brought Last Hope alongside. He looked down at me. Below him, more than 1,000 people worked the harbor he had tried to burn. The cruel line from the first night returned between us. Some men are born to command the ocean, I said. Some are born to become resources. His face emptied. He reached for the rail. The damaged platform collapsed beneath him. Marcus fell into the shallow maintenance basin. He survived, barely. Holt's security team dragged him from the water and locked him inside a reinforced storage cell with no communications equipment and no window. I did not watch them take him away. Rook was still coming. The Red Fortress entered range. Its towers launched burning projectiles over the wall. Crosshaven's roofs caught fire. People formed bucket lines using water from the restored reserve tanks. Dane's security teams defended the eastern dock. Holt commanded the inner wall. Captain Shaw organized Mercy's people into repair crews, medical teams, and fire lines. No one waited for me to save them. That was when Crosshaven became more than my territory. I opened the harbor channel, Phase 1. Iron Hand moved across the western entrance. Thomas released 3 barges loaded with hull eater oil and broken metal. Red Current's front line struck them. The barges split. Black oil spread across the water. Phase 2. Breadbasket deployed steel nets beneath the surface. Raider engines caught them. Propellers jammed. Vessels collided. Phase 3. Breaker entered the wreck cluster. Its salvage blades activated. It did not attack people. It attacked ships. Rams broke. Hull plates peeled away. Engines vanished into grinding metal. Red Current's front line collapsed into chaos. Rook ordered his larger vessels forward. The Red Fortress pushed through its own damaged boats. Its bow smashed Iron Hand aside. Thomas's tug rolled, recovered, and struck the cargo ship's flank. Too small, too weak. Rook laughed across the channel. You built toys. The Red Fortress's towers aimed at Mercy. The refugee ark could not move fast enough. It carried families, wounded people, and nearly everything we had not transferred ashore. Rook knew where to strike. I drove Last Hope between them. Every remaining Red Current weapon targeted us. Lena shouted from engineering. Core overload available. What does it do? Everything at once. How minute? And after? Last Hope may never move again. The first firebolt struck our bow. Then another scale shattered. The sail burned. The memory launcher fired until its barrel glowed. We destroyed one tower, then two. The red fortress kept coming. Rook stood at the bow with his curved blade raised. Board them, hooks flew. Red current fighters crossed on chains and ladders. Holt's sailors met them on our deck. Maria's kitchen crew fought beside them with cleavers, poles, and boiling water. Daniel dragged wounded people into the cabin. Owen broadcast Rook's orders to every enemy channel, creating confusion where he could. Lena waited beside the overload control. I looked at Last Hope. The skiff. The cutter. The ship that had grown from rope, bone, wreckage, memory in every hand that touched it. Do it. She activated overload. Last Hope changed. Every material stored inside the hull awakened. The tide scales rose like armor plates. The black sail expanded across the sky. The abyss anchor split into 6 hooked chains. The memory launcher absorbed every remaining bolt and formed one enormous projectile. Blue light covered the harbor. The system core stability critical. Living warship path resonance achieved. Temporary final form unlocked. Last Hope grew beneath us. The bow extended, the hull widened, weapon mounts formed along both sides. The vessel became larger than Red Fortress. Not permanently, not safely. Long enough, Rook's smile disappeared. I fired the abyss chains. They wrapped around the cargo ship's towers, engines, and rudder. Last Hope pulled. Red Fortress turned sideways. Its entire exposed flank faced Crosshaven. Holt saw it, sentinel fire. The patrol boat's cannon struck the engine deck. Dane saw it, sovereign grace fire. The yacht's gun hit the forward tower. Thomas saw it. Iron Hand, full power. The tug rammed the damaged Ruth saw it. Bread basket, nets out. Steel cables wrapped the cargo ship's propellers. Breaker drove into the breach. Its salvage blades entered Red Fortress. The cargo vessel began tearing apart from the inside. Rook remained on the bow. He looked at me across the collapsing deck, then he jumped. He crossed the gap between ships and landed on Last Hope with his curved blade raised. He was stronger than any man I had fought. The system marked him. Captain Silas Rook. Vessel bond, Red Fortress. Authority trait, plunder. He swung. The blade cut through my shoulder armor and opened flesh beneath it. I fell. Rook kicked the memory launcher away. You built well, he said. That is why I wanted it. Around us, Red Fortress broke apart. His men surrendered or fell into the water. He did not look back. He had never cared about the fleet. Only the prize. He raised the blade over my throat. This ocean belongs to men who take. I pressed my bleeding hand against Last Hope's deck. The living hull answered. Not with a weapon, with every memory it carried. My father's knife, Lena's engineering, Thomas's navigation, Owen's kitchen, Daniel's hands. Every bolt carried by a child, every plate welded by a refugee, every person Rook believed was merely something to take. The deck shifted beneath his feet. A wooden ridge rose and locked around his ankle. Rook looked down. I seized the memory launcher's wooden grip and drove it into his wounded knee. He fell. His blade slid across the deck. I stood over him. He reached toward the weapon. The abyss chain tightened around his wrist. Behind him, Red Fortress sank. The system announced it across the region. Red Current Fleet Command broken. Territory trial completed. Hostile fleet defeated. Rook stared at the burning remains of his empire. His authority trait vanished. The surviving Red Current ships lowered their flags. I leaned close enough for him to hear me over the collapsing metal. You were wrong. He looked up. The ocean does not belong to men who take. I tightened the chain. It belongs to people who build. The hidden evolution completed. Golden light erupted from Crosshaven and spread across the water farther than I could see. Walls rose. Docks expanded. Repair towers awakened. Floating farms unfolded from sealed platforms beneath the harbor. Freshwater systems multiplied. The old rail line became a chain of powered sea bridges connecting new construction zones. The system spoke to every survivor across the region. Oceanic stronghold established. Sovereign domain unlocked. Population capacity 100,000. Fleet construction unlocked. Trade network unlocked. Territory lord upgraded. Title acquired. First ocean sovereign. Last Hope's temporary giant form collapsed. For one terrible moment, I thought the core had died. Then the vessel settled beneath me, smaller than before. Its hull was no longer wood, metal, bone, or scale. It was all of them. The final interface opened. Vessel, Last Hope. Grade, flagship, evolution limit, none. People filled the docks. Mercy sounded its horn. Sentinel answered, then Sovereign Grace, Iron Hand, Breadbasket, Breaker. One by one, every surviving vessel in Crosshaven sounded theirs. The noise rolled across the ocean. Rook heard it from his knees. Dane heard it from the deck of the yacht he once believed made him untouchable. Holt heard it beside sailors and civilians, working under the same flag. Marcus heard it from a cell deep inside the customs building. I stood on Last Hope's bow with my injured shoulder bound, and my father's wooden grip beneath my hand. The global ranking appeared in the sky. Modern destroyers held the lower positions. Nuclear submarines followed. Floating fortresses built by governments and billionaires filled the top 10. Then every name shifted downward. A new entry appeared above them all. First place vessel, Last Hope. First place territory, Crosshaven. First place sovereign power, the Oceanic Empire. The world had given everyone a modern ship. It had given me a wooden plank. That was all I had needed.